I came to the clinic during school, and when I got here, they were very thoughtful and friendly to me, and they took very good care of me.
We provide a full variety of primary care services, preventative, acute care, chronic care for adults and children.
It's been very convenient for me because I haven't had to leave school and go make an appointment.
If your student gets sick, you could send them over to one of the wellness centers rather than having to take off of work.
It's kind of hard sometimes to get out of the work. It's just good that they have like a school-based clinic, because like that, if the child is sick, they could just come over here without the parent even coming in.
Anybody can come to the clinic.
Our motto is healthy people, healthy community, and we thought what better way to help improve the health of our community than by starting in our schools.
For over 20 years, Community Clinic has served Washington County with quality and affordable health care. With 3 wellness centers in Springdale located at Jones, George, and Elmdale Elementary, our services include primary care, pediatrics, prenatal, behavioral health, and physical therapy. We offer services in English, Spanish, and Marshallese so that we can help your family. The Community Clinic, healthy people, healthy community.
Springdale Public Schools are connecting students to
student achievement,
Safety,
personalized teaching,
partnerships.
At Springdale Public Schools, we're given every opportunity to succeed because we are #the choice for
education,
athletics,
Music,
Athletics in Springdale has been producing winners since 1910. Our coaches do a tremendous job connecting our students to our schools. We are one community.
I really like to work on one class for a whole day, which I have the flexibility to do.
So as we were looking at all the various programs, we looked at several different programs, but the one that we were most excited about was the School of Innovations virtual school, because it seemed to have a good balance of it being well organized with a good pace, but at the same time allowing for some flexibility to work with our own schedule, and then also allow our kids to be interested in other things as well.
Well, I'm able to help my parents in their company.
So she's helping us to figure out who gets what and put them in the boxes and take them and weigh them and shipping. And so she got to see and be involved in that whole process along the way of what it looks like to try to start a business, which was really fun for her.
So my parents and we own a company called Iachika. It's a company that inspires girls, and we try to really help girls build up their inner strength. We have super cool apparel and events.
Unless she's testing, she can walk away from the middle of her math lesson and come in and see what we have going on.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things.
We started homeschooling about, 3 years ago. Right now there's so much available in terms of homeschooling that it's a little bit overwhelming.
So I started homeschooling in the 5th grade, and we were doing club soccer, so we were traveling.
I first became interested.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Solis, and I'll be providing commentary for tonight's varsity games, both boys and girls, and I'm accompanied by Claire McElroy.
Hello, everyone.
We're very excited for tonight's game. This is Springdale's second home game, and it's against their crosstown rival, Har-Ber High School.
Yes, and I'm really excited to see how this game's going to play out because we have a really great turnout here tonight, actually, and I'm really excited to see how this game's going to play out, with the whole hometown rival thing.
Absolutely. I mean, not only is it a conference, which we talked about last time, that it's a whole nother level, but I mean, this is your crosstown rivals. These are some of the players that you grew up playing with. So this is going to bring the intensity level just a whole nother level. I mean, you're going to have that camaraderie with some of the other players on the team, and you're going to be kind of going all at it. And I mean, this is one of the biggest games of the season, really. You have your crosstown rivals, you have friends, family, teachers coming out to come and watch. And I mean, there's tons of people tuning in now to the live stream just to watch this game. So it's a really big deal.
Yes, and also this is just, in general, this is a very important game of the season. It's early on. They're just trying to get their feet in. This is the third conference game. They're just trying to really, cement themselves in their places early on in the season.
Absolutely. I was speaking to not only the players from each team, and in speaking to those players, I learned that they're obviously really excited. I mean, they're ready. They've been training all year, every day after school. They're ready to come out here and really show what they've been working on. And as for the coaches, speaking with Coach Beeler for Springdale, he tells me that he tells his players that they need to just treat this like any other game. They need to just play their game. And yes, the emotions are going to run high today. There's going to be a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of aggression on the field, which is exciting for all of us that are watching. But he does tell his players, again, I think both you and I know this from experience, that just to play like any other game, to play your hearts out.
So, Mark, for you last year, you were a senior last year. What did it feel like coming into this game? Even though we do have the girls' game first, but with you, what was that like coming into this game against Har-Ber?
Well, for me as a senior, really, you have to realize that this is your first time you're playing against your crosstown rivals. So every single time you step onto that pitch, you really want to just put everything that you've been working for years on the field, and you just really want to play your hearts out. For a lot of these players, they're still looking to go to colleges, and they really just have to leave it all on the field after every single game. And especially after a game like this, it's so intense, they're going to have to give in that extra 110%.
Definitely. Last minute speeches are being made by players and coaches and getting all ready. We're just waiting for the officials.
Absolutely. I mean, I can guarantee you right now that Beegler is repeating the exact same thing to his ladies that has been repeating all week, that they just need to keep their head in the game and just treat it like it's any other game, and that they just really need to focus on today. And I'm sure Har-Ber's coach is telling them the exact same thing. I mean, this is a game of attrition, really. I mean, you're going to be battling it out to the very last minute. There's going to be lots of heart and friends playing against each other. It's going to be very interesting, I can expect, and we can all expect to see some very, very good soccer and some very intense play.
Yes, definitely. And another huge factor tonight is going to be the weather. It's beautiful outside. It's about 70 degrees outside. It's going to get hot. You're going to get all sweaty, but they've just got to keep going through it, play through the heat. If they need those subs, tell their coach they need the subs, get out, get back in quick.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just beautiful, beautiful weather. Again, as you said, it's 6:03 currently right now. The temperature is going to be rising, especially when you're running on that pitch. But yes, absolutely. Beautiful weather to play. And we're just kind of bring in other games into this game that we're looking at here. So for overall record, we have Har-Ber Lady Wildcats with a total record of 6-3, and Springdale Lady Bulldogs with a current record of 3-2 overall.
So they are kind of evenly matched here tonight, even though Springdale hasn't played as many games as Har-Ber has, but they still are they're evenly matched.
Yes, and actually in this specific league, they are both 0-2, so this is really going to be a great turn of the tables for both the teams. They're both going into the season fairly rough. I mean, they're playing very hard teams, and they're really giving it out there, so this is going to result in a win for at least one of these teams and kind of give them that boost that they've been needing.
Yes, and that's also going to be another factor coming in tonight. This is hometown rival, but this is also going to be one team's first win, which is going to be huge for the play and for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and apart from the result of the game, I mean, really, whoever scores first is really going to kind of set the pace. If we get an early goal on, we're going to get a lot of emotions running high very, very quickly in the game. We're going to get players wanting to get more goals, and we're going to get players on the other team wanting to defend as much goals as possible. So really the first goal is what is going to set the tone and the emotion for the game.
Yes, and another thing we just also need to remember is that I feel like these teams are both going to come out very aggressively. We've seen it from both sides. They play very aggressively, but they just need to make sure to not get too crazy aggressive. We know hometown rivals, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot, but they just got to make sure that they play their hearts out, but not too much.
We're just moments away from the first kickoff of the ball in tonight's varsity boys and girls games.
We've got Springdale in the black and red and Har-Ber in the white and blue.
And there we have it. The ball is getting rolling. Springdale starting off with the ball, sending a long ball right away. We're going to get a throw in for Har-Ber here. I mean, we can see it right away in the first few seconds of the game. Playing it back and sending a long ball. Both teams are really going to try to get that first goal to give their team just that little bit of an advantage and courage that they really need to keep the game going.
Yes. Here we go, a good ball in for Har-Ber early on here. But that's out for a goal kick.
Har-Ber right away getting pretty deep into Springdale's defensive half. Just wasn't able to get that last touch on the ball, but nonetheless, starting off very well with some offensive pressure.
Yes.
Now, from the last game that we saw, the Lady Bulldogs here at their home field, they really did play a good game. I mean, it went all the way to penalties, and it was really a battle to the end. So we know that these ladies have a fight in them, and they're definitely going to have to bring that into today's game as well.
Definitely. We have another throw-in for Har-Ber here. And another thing I noticed very interesting is they have Fabiola moved up. Instead of having her playing back as a center back, they have her kind of as a sweeper there in the midfield because she has a big leg on her, so she'll be there in the middle of the field.
Absolutely, and last time we saw her as a stopper, she was doing just fine. And so we'll definitely see her incorporate the way she defends into that sweeper position.
Out to Parsons.
One thing we're seeing that I noticed that they're playing after speaking with Beeler was the fact that he kind of lets them know that this is in their hands, really. That, of course, emotion's going to be running high and that they have to come out here and show whatever they want other people to see. If they want other people to just watch a game of kickball, or they really want to see some high-quality movement and passes. Springdale nicely getting out of their defensive line, but Har-Ber is pushing very, very hard on their defenders.
And I've noticed that for Har-Ber number 2, that's Kirsten Crumby. They have her playing pretty far back as a defender, that main central defender there. So whenever that ball started to get over the 50-yard line, she was already dropping back ready to defend. So they're going to keep their defense pretty far back to make sure that they can stop the ball from coming in on long balls.
And we'll see how long it takes Springdale to recognize that. I mean, they have really, really quick players up top. They have Avila, they have Parsons, they have Alvarado. Very, very quick players and technical players. So Springdale can recognize that and exploit that by putting pressure on their very last defender. It'll really stretch out Har-Ber's line, and they'll kind of have to adjust to how Springdale is applying pressure to their defensive line.
Yes.
Har-Ber pushing up. Har-Ber's number 7 pushing up, defended very nice by Karen Antuna. Setting it out of bounds, giving her players some time to come back and recover and just really help out in defending.
And we see here that Parsons has kind of noticed that on number 2 and is standing right there next to number 2 so that she can try to get that ball if it goes over.
Absolutely, and that's really one of the things that separates, good teams from great teams, that ability to adapt and recognize how the other team is playing and really trying to exploit anything you can. What I'm glad to see is some really nice composure from both players. We don't see anybody do anything too crazy here. We see them really just keeping their cool and realizing that they just need to pass the ball, look for open spaces, and it's very obvious that that's what they're trying to do.
Definitely.
Parsons to Avila. Avila struggling to get control of that ball. It being cleared out by Har-Ber there. Now, I will say that's a very, very dangerous trifecta to have up there up top. We have Alvarado, Avila, and Parsons. Alvarado's, every time she comes out and plays, she really does show out with that technical ability. She really looks for her players and recognizes the best possible plays. And we have Avila and Parsons up there who are very, very quick, who are assertive and can really fight for that ball. So that's something that I really hope to see Springdale take advantage of.
Definitely, and we have Avila, who's a newcomer this year. She's just a sophomore, but she's really been proving herself these last few games, being very quick and technical and knowing what to do with the ball and when to do it.
Absolutely. She proved herself to be a very important asset to Springdale. Last time they were here on their home field, she was very, very attentive to all the plays, trying to fight back and get every single ball.
Ball across there, stopped by number 7, but got to number 13.
And Christie with the big ball upfield. We have Avila chasing down Har-Ber's left back. Big clear by Fabiola there.
Parsons is going to get there and head the ball and try to bring it down.
One thing we see Har-Ber doing very well, but Parsons getting through. That touch was just a little bit too far off, but Alvarado picking it up, looking for her options, playing it back to Bianca.
Which I love to see. I love to see when teams realize that they don't have anything up forward and they play it back and just simple, easy pass, just playing it back and resetting the offense.
Oh yeah, one thing we really see Har-Ber doing fairly well is that communication in the back. They see that either Parsons or Avila is getting control of that ball, and then they step on that as fast as they can to get the ball off of her feet. Referee says play on what seemed to be possibly a foul. Heather with a nice interception there. Looking at her options, we have Avila opening out wide, Parsons on the left side, sending a very deep ball. Avila picking it up. Heather sending a long ball to Avila. Avila looking to see who she can send it to in the center, sending the ball in, picked up by Har-Ber's goalkeeper. That's really what we want to see right there, that speed of play, that recognition. We have Avila opening out to the left side and looking to see who she can pass it to. And that's really, really what we expect to see for the rest of the game once the pace starts picking up and they start getting a lot more invested into the game. When time starts running down, they're really going to start looking for those goals.
Definitely, and another thing we talked about last time was the fact that they weren't very diverse in their plays, but that was a very different play than we've seen them play before, especially at home. At the last game, they kept kind of doing the same play over and over, but we saw something different there.
Yeah, that play was very dynamic.
Definitely.
The way they were able to adjust to Avila opening out to the left side was very nice. We have Har-Ber here with a throw in deep in Springdale's defensive half.
Ball into the box, but
Karen Antuna with a nice header out. We have Alvarado open on this right side, looking to see her options again. We have Avila and Parsons sending a long ball there. Just runs out of bounds there. Not enough field to keep it inside.
But that was a really nice ball by Alvarado there, just a little bit too much on the ball there for Avila to be able to get there, but it was good recognition by Alvarado there.
Definitely, the recognition to see that open space and that potential for a play there is something that is really nice, and hopefully we see more of in Springdale being able to capitalize on those.
We're going to have a bit of a push there on Bianca Rivas there.
I'll be the first foul of the game on Bianca. Nothing too serious, but that just goes to show how things are starting to get heated up a little bit, and it's really the start of a really intense game.
Definitely.
Har-Ber sending a long ball. Har-Ber was able to get just the tip of her cleat on that, sending it forward, but Springdale was very nice in covering that space and shielding the ball, allowing their players to clear it out of bounds. Short throw in here, and Tuna covering it very nicely.
Good cross across the field there from Har-Ber.
Heather with a nice interception there, sending it upfield to Parsons. And a throw in for Springdale. We have a nice ball there from number 7 for Har-Ber.
He's going to be there for number 13, and it's going to be stopped, but 13's going to get it back.
Referee says play on. What could have been a potential foul there. That would have been dangerous as it was within the large box there for the keeper, but referee says it was clean and play on. Just a little bit of an aggressive play.
Which I like to see from refs, them letting them play just a little bit, get a little bit, aggressive, but not calling it,
Absolutely. We like to see referees who just let players play the game and just does keep things under control. We have a long ball here. Parsons chasing it down with Har-Ber's number 2, shielding it. Parsons nearly missing the ball. Keeper coming out just in time to clear it out for Har-Ber.
And that was really nice recognition there by the keeper to see that she would be able to get there in enough time to clear that ball out.
We can definitely see Parsons really exploiting that deep defender that Har-Ber has. Really dangerous there. I mean, Har-Ber's really got to watch Parsons on that long ball. We can definitely see she's got the speed to take away the ball there.
And we're going to have a throw in a dangerous position for Springdale here.
We definitely see a big gap there in the middle. We see Springdale with 4 defenders dropping back with Fabiola pushed up just a little bit, and the rest of the team pushed up. We definitely see a big gap there, which could be used in a dangerous turnover ball from Har-Ber.
Good touch there by the Har-Ber defender to be able to get it off of Danny there at the last second.
Springdale not quite able to get a nice touch on that, setting the ball out of bounds, giving Har-Ber the throw-in. Har-Ber making it, having a hard time trying to get out of there. Springdale, very nice, not letting them get too far out of play there. Avila taken there.
Going to get to Alvarado, and she's going to send it right back in, but it's going to go out for a goal kick.
We're really starting to see that center space filled in now that they're expecting a goal kick. Really, this is a huge part of the game here. Whenever these goal kicks get sent in, the team who can get possession of the ball and get the first touch on the ball really has an advantage in having possession. There we have Har-Ber getting the ball, sending it upfield. Springdale with 4 defenders sending it backwards. Har-Ber's 21 chasing it down.
It looked like a little bit of miscommunication there between Atuna and Aaron Christie there.
Absolutely. Whenever you're playing a team like Har-Ber who's going to try to get any chance they get to get the ball off you, you really have to limit those mistakes to none if possible. That communication is really going to be key. We have a saying in soccer that communication is the 12th man on the field. So you really have to implement that in games like this whenever people are nervous, excited, and really just having a hard time focusing. So communication really is going to be key in these games. Now we really do see some power midfielders from both Springdale and Har-Ber. We have Jessica Alvarado, number 10, and we have for Har-Ber, Giselle Estrada there. She's really going to give Jessica a run for their money. I mean, they're both excellent players, and they're definitely huge assets to both of their teams. We have a ball sent out wide. Danny's running down to get that ball. 12 for Har-Ber, taking a nice cut, sending it downfield. Springdale getting the last touch on it to send it out of bounds.
Dangerous ball in the box.
One thing that we definitely see both teams doing a lot of is making it difficult for Springdale, for either team to really turn around and play the ball comfortably. We have Springdale doing that, as well as Har-Ber making it difficult for the opposing team to really just play comfortably on the ball with no pressure. Sending a long ball there. Springdale getting the first touch, playing it to Danny. Danny Avila sending it out to Parsons. Parsons getting a first touch. And Har-Ber just getting the foot on that upfield. We're going to have a throw in here for Springdale. Parsons losing sight of that ball with a defender on her back now. That's just one of those things that is unfortunate and unlucky, seeing that losing sight of that ball whenever she could have had a great run there.
Definitely. That was a really beautifully put in ball there by Alexa Calderon, but just Parsons lost it up in the air.
We're just waiting here for the ball to be put into play. We have a throw in.
Or actually, I believe it's a free kick here.
I do believe so. The referee has awarded a free kick for Springdale.
Karen Atuna using that big leg of hers.
Giselle Estrada getting a header on it, sending it upfield. Danny Avila trying to get possession of that. We have Har-Ber 21 sprinting back, trying to get possession of that ball. Karen Atuna was very nice to play it to her left wing and played out wide. Long ball here for Har-Ber, number 7, running down. Defended very, very nicely, setting it up for a corner kick.
That was by Bianca Rivas being able to get on number 7 and make her kick the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, referee awards a goal kick there. Bianca Rivas really came in there. Great timing, defended very, very good timing, and really made it difficult for Har-Ber's number 7 to get a comfortable kick on that. And that's what really we expect to see from Springdale and Har-Ber's defenders, making it difficult for the other team to shoot anything comfortably. If they're going to score something, they're going to have to work for it. We have a miss there. Ball sent out wide from Har-Ber.
That was by number 21, Kanaya Starks.
I believe that was the closest to there being a goal so far in the game. We have a substitution here. Yesenia Martinez coming on for Jessica Alvarado. Now, if I had to venture to guess, I'd say that Jessica Alvarado was coming off, not only to get a break, really, but to have Beeler talk to her and really kind of give her an idea of what Beeler's wanting from her and the kind of play that she has to take control of there in the midfield.
She is the captain. She's the person out there that's in charge and knows what's going on, so she just needs to talk to Beeler and figure out what they need to do to try to break through this Har-Ber team.
Referee marked a foul there.
I'm not sure exactly what that was. I believe he was motioning an offsides. That's what the hand positioning he was doing was.
Yes, the assistant referee is also confirming that it is, in fact, going to be an offsides. The forward ran into an offsides position and then came back to get the ball, which is, in fact, still an offside play.
Yes.
Abiola there fighting for the ball, trying to keep in possession. Still has it, giving it to Heather. Heather looking for that wide ball to Parsons. Parsons with a wonderful touch there, giving herself that nice pass. Centered in. Har-Ber just barely being able to get out of the field. Har-Ber just trying to play that ball up. We see this Har-Ber player on this left side running open. Wasn't able to get a pass from her teammates, but Springdale really has to be watching that.
And I see Bianca Rivas signaling to Yesenia to get back on that number 12 just so that we'll have somebody there. She needs to be on number 7. That's going to be a handball on Har-Ber.
Now that's the element of communication that's really important. We have to have Bianca there talking to Yesenia and let her know that she has to come back and to mark those positions, because if she wouldn't have told her, it's very likely that she could have gone in there without a mark, and that would have been fairly dangerous. We have a long ball here. We have Danny Avila running to the ball, keeper coming out, picking it up right out inside of her box. We have a big punt here from Har-Ber. Nice flick there from Har-Ber. 7 sending a long ball for 21. Erin Christie sending that ball out of bounds, giving her teammates time to drop back and recover.
And sometimes that's just what you need to do. You need to get that ball out of there and let your team get back and get ready.
Absolutely. In the years that I've played at the high school level, I was playing as center back. And whenever you have a dangerous play like that, you just have to send it out, let your team come back to recover and just help you out. So that's exactly what you have to do whenever you have pressure coming on your back, and you just have to get it out of there.
And we're going to have the first corner of the game for Har-Ber.
Springdale marking very nicely. Each of the ladies having a player. Springdale being the first to send it out for another corner kick. These really are the plays that can change the entire pace of a game. I mean, a single mistake when marking a player can really affect the rest of the play. Springdale heading it out for another ball. Har-Ber trying to get it centered back in, but Danny Avila not giving her a comfortable pass. We have Parsons dropping back to get that recovery ball.
Going shoulder to shoulder there, being aggressive, but it's going to come out as Springdale ball.
That's a very nice play there from Parsons, dropping back and anticipating that pass, taking the first touch away from Har-Ber's defensive player and trying to give herself that pass. We have about 17 and a half minutes left in this game, and we're really starting to see some quality plays from these ladies. We kind of see them looking 1-2 steps ahead of the game, anticipating those passes. It's really going to come down to who can finish on that in that offensive half.
And also Jessica Alvarado has come back into the game, I believe, for Heather. So she's now playing a more midfield, like outside midfielder role.
That's an interesting decision here. Still playing midfielder, of course, which is her position, but playing more on that left wing, which is interesting to see how she's going to play out there. If I had to venture to guess, again, I'd say that she's in that position to either send Parsons that through ball on that left side or to cross it to Danny.
Here she is getting that ball through header.
Ball is up in the air, headering it forward. Har-Ber sending it, and Erin Christie getting that ball out of bounds.
Quick throw in. And the ref's going to say that she was a little bit too quick and didn't get it all the way over her head, so it's going to go to Springdale.
It's really the small things that may have an impact on that game. I mean, turning over that throw-in could have been something special for Har-Ber. They could have gotten a play off of that. So you really kind of have to try to maintain possession of that ball as much as possible. I mean, you can't score if you don't have the ball, so that's something that you really have to try to keep in mind. Maintaining possession of the ball is really a huge part of this game, especially when you have two very high-quality teams.
Yes.
Either which way, whichever team scores is not going to be easy for them. They're both having a hard time kind of completing those final touches and those final passes. We have Alvarado with the long ball there. One thing that I see Springdale doing very well is they're disrupting the flow of play from a lot of Har-Ber players. If they're getting a good flow going, then you have a lot of Springdale players kicking it out of bounds. They're just kind of disturbing their rhythm, which is really giving them an advantage whenever you have Har-Ber players who communicate very well and have great movement off the ball and communication, oftentimes without words even. They're just looking at each other. They know what they're going to do. They're anticipating their players' runs. So to be able to disrupt that is a huge, huge part and advantage, I would say.
Yes, and even if they can't just strip the ball and be able to pass it off to another player, just getting that out of bounds or just maybe even lightly kicking at the ball, even if the Har-Ber player keeps it, it's still just that little disruption that's really going to change the play.
We have a long ball there, headed out by Karen Antuna. We have a foul there in favor of Har-Ber. Now this is a first free kick that has the potential to be scored on right here in favor of Har-Ber, about 10 yards away from goal.
And we see Parsons coming down to set up the wall here instead of having their goalkeeper in case Har-Ber tries to pull a fast ball.
We have Springdale still having two of their offensive players pushed up very high. We have a big kick there sent over the goal. Again, you really have to capitalize on these set pieces that you get because this is really going to kind of give you essentially a free shot. I mean, there's no pressure from players, that is. Of course, there's pressure that you kind of have to score and hit it as best as you can. So you really have to try to capitalize on any opportunity you get.
Even just a throw-in, you just have to use it to the best of your advantage.
Har-Ber maintaining possession of the ball very nicely there. We see the same play almost as we did earlier, where Har-Ber's forward is able to toe poke it forward and try to run, but Springdale cuts off the run very nicely. I mean, you can either let the ball through or you can let the player through, but you can't let both. And Springdale is shielding the ball very nicely and not letting those players chase after that ball.
And that's kind of what you were talking about earlier with Springdale, is that diversity of play. We kind of have seen Har-Ber kind of doing the same thing, going down the middle and just trying to get it past the defense. It'd be interesting to see them maybe try to come and do some sort of crossing or something like that.
Absolutely. They have the quality of players and the talent, no doubt, but they just really have to try different avenues and see how they can exploit any opportunity that they can. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Har-Ber is able to exploit those opportunities and try to get through any way they can. Alvarado there with the long ball, just a little too long there, setting it out of bounds for a goal kick.
And that is one thing that Springdale's midfield is going to have to watch for, those long balls. The long balls will work in some cases, but sometimes if you get a little bit too much on them, you're just giving Har-Ber a free reset.
We have a substitution here for Har-Ber.
That is going to be, I believe that is number 5, Riley Borland, for number 8, Alexis Ferentino.
Alvarado getting the first touch from that goal kick. We have Danny there fighting for that ball, maintaining possession of it, and 11 for Har-Ber, getting it off of her feet very nicely.
Once again, we see Yesenia coming to play back on that number 10 there so that Bianca Rivas can go and play and be on number 7.
And that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see players recognize that and not make the same mistake twice. I mean, if they can get scored on from the last play, they really would just want to fix that. And it's great to see Yesenia recognize that that's a spot that they need to watch for and actually dropping back to cover that spot.
Good ball for Alvarado. Danny going to pick it up and maintaining it, but just kicking it a little bit too hard and going out of bounds for a throw-in.
Just like we were saying earlier, both teams are making it difficult for the opposing team to kind of play that ball comfortably, and Danny is really, really feeling that. She's fighting for every ball, trying to get to it, but Har-Ber's defenders are really making it tough for her to play that ball comfortably.
And once again, it's going to be that she didn't completely play it over her head, and it's going to turn over to Springdale ball.
There seems to be miscommunication there. Yesenia is trying to throw it to number 6 for Springdale, and not quite being on the same page there. But absolutely, Har-Ber really needs to watch that. That's 1, 2 now throw-ins that have been overturned, and you cannot let any ball slide past you or turn over to any other team. You have to really try to keep control of that at all times.
And that could just be the intensity of the game and the adrenaline pumping. You know, you just want to get the ball back in play so you can play again.
Absolutely, they need that speed of play. They need to play quickly to try to catch the other team off guard, and that's just something that they need to keep in mind whenever they are playing those throw-ins. Long ball there. We have 2v3. Parsons with a long shot. Goalkeeper almost not maintaining possession of that ball and keeping it in her hands. That gave quite the fright to Har-Ber fans, and that's something that's pretty dangerous there.
Yes, and that was a really good choice by Parsons, I believe. If she would have tried to dribble that, there was a defender waiting for her, but just taking that shot was a really good idea and was almost the first goal for Springdale.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things, again, that separates good players from great players. She was able to recognize that Har-Ber had one player past the defender that she was already on that was going to put pressure on her if she tried to dribble through. So that recognition and taking those chances and taking those long shots really shows that the quality of player she is and the ability of her to see 1 or 2 steps ahead and recognize that she needed to take advantage of that.
Yes, and as a goalkeeper, I know that those long shots are so hard to defend because, you know, they might be coming in a lot harder than you think.
Long ball here from Parsons. Danny running down to that fender with number 11. We have Springdale now with a corner kick. Har-Ber's defender, number 11, having some sort of miscommunication with her goalkeeper and sending it out of bounds. Now, this will be the first corner kick, I believe, for Springdale. Yes. And we need to see this corner kick really kind of bring in and get a dangerous ball here. We have Fabiola being substituted out for Heather. We will have Captain Jessica Alvarado sending in that corner kick.
And she has a really good foot on her, so this could be a good play.
Look at that ball sent in. Nobody was able to get a touch on it. Heather running back to try to play it backwards. Throw in for Springdale. One thing I noticed on that specific corner kick was that their defending styles are very different. Whenever Har-Ber had the corner kick, Springdale was marked very, very tightly to their players, and for Har-Ber, they were kind of more marking in their position. They weren't specifically staying to any player, and they were just watching to see what players ran into their position. So that's very different styles of marking on corners, and it has different results that might be apparent later. If Springdale gets another one, they might be able to capitalize on the fact that they don't have an immediate mark on them.
Yes, they might be able to make those runs in, and we had that back post open. Yesenia was making that run to the back post and almost got there before the goalkeeper was able to get her hand on it. There's going to be another substitution for Har-Ber.
21 coming off, and from what I've been able to see so far, 21 for Har-Ber has really been an important player, especially because Har-Ber's been playing a lot of long balls, and 21 is very, very fast, able to put a lot of pressure on Springdale's defensive line. I believe she was a player to actually toe poke it past the defenders, and if she had kept on doing it, she might have been able to get past the defenders.
Yes, that was Kanaya Starks, who's really been playing a good game for Har-Ber.
Ball cleared very nicely. We have Har-Ber here, number 5, with no pressure, sending a ball in. Cleared out by Karen Antuna. Yesenia heading it out past. Har-Ber again.
Number 5 finding that player out wide. Number 12.
Har-Ber with the long shot, number 10. Picked up very nicely. No pressure there from Springdale's goalkeeper. Send upfield. Har-Ber picking it up there. Almost dead center. We have, again, Giselle and Jessica Alvarado there in the middle. Seems like Jessica Alvarado has really come back to her natural position, which is center midfielder. And that's where she feels most comfortable. I believe she hits a long ball there.
And that's mostly because they have Heather back out there on the left side, so they took Fabiola out and put Jessica back where Fabiola was playing.
We have Har-Ber's 22, another team captain, I believe, Desire Perez, who's been playing there in the center as well, and has been playing very well for Har-Ber. Number 10, Giselle sending that long ball, seeing it out wide. Har-Ber not being able to get past. Alvarado picking it up, passing it back to Heather, who sends it upfield, and Har-Ber sending the ball right back.
Now we see a little bit of a game of kickball start to begin. Kind of this last few minutes, we're down to about 4 minutes here. Then they just need to remember that even though they probably are starting to get tired and just want to try to capitalize on goal scoring opportunities, they just need to play smart and play down and just pass it and try to find those plays.
Yeah, this is about that time when players start to get frustrated and really kind of desperate to go out there and try to get some goals. So this is when you start to see a lot of frustration and players just sending it upfield, hoping that they can get a good play, when really the best thing that they could do is kind of maintain that composure and look for opportunities that they know that they can capitalize on in communication and movement without the ball. That's a huge part of specifically high school soccer, is movement without the ball. That's something that both teams really need to implement. We have Desire here running down to 22, trying to get a shot in, and we have a goal kick.
And another thing, kind of speaking on that, is if one team were to kind of slow it down and pass, that's going to throw the other team off their game because they're wanting to play that fast speed. But if you see a team starting to slow down, it's going to throw that other fast-moving team off.
Absolutely, especially if they were able to slow the game down and they really set the pace of the game. I mean, if you have possession of the ball, you can set the pace and really change it up really quickly. If you're playing with the ball slowly and all of a sudden you play a really fast play, you'll be throwing the other team off their game and really take them by surprise.
Good ball in by number 13, number 7 there to get it.
We have the ball still in play, and Noelia Romero just getting back into her goal. Springdale defending very, very nicely. Anytime Har-Ber has an opportunity to take a shot, Springdale is putting pressure on them very, very quickly, not making it easy at all for Har-Ber to get a shot in. And that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see both teams really making it difficult for any shots to be going in. Big clear there from Karen Antuna. We really see defenders here trying to get the ball off of Har-Ber's feet at all costs. They're throwing their heads in there. They're just swinging, trying to get that ball out of there. Karen Antuna there, clearing it upfield.
Yesenia keeping the ball in. But they're going to call it out of bounds and off of the Har-Ber team, so this is going to be a Springdale throw-in.
Yeah, I believe that was on Karen Antuna's clearance of the ball. It hit Har-Ber's number 10 and deflected, giving Springdale the throw-in. Har-Ber keeping it in Springdale's defensive half for these past few minutes, and Springdale just trying to get out of there. Har-Ber with a good through ball. Har-Ber with a nice turn, 23, setting a ball in. Har-Ber not being able to get possession of that, and we're down to the last minute of the first half, and the score is 0-0. Both teams struggling to try to find that first goal of the night. But Har-Ber in these last 2 to 3 minutes really making Springdale work to get it out of their field.
That's going to be Arlene Delgado getting the ball and taking
Arlene,
it
very
down the
nice
field.
run, taking it past two players, 30 seconds of the game. She's running down that field with no marks, sending it out wide to Parsons. Har-Ber's number 4 getting the last touch, Parsons passing it back, sending the long ball. Har-Ber clearing it up very nicely.
That was a really nice play there by Delgado there, and just realizing she had all that space and she could get there and playing it up the field.
Absolutely. Whenever she has just 30 seconds, she's running down, looking at her options, and Har-Ber's defender was just able to get her toes off of that and get it away from Parsons, because that would have been very, very dangerous for Har-Ber. That concludes our first half of Springdale versus Har-Ber varsity girls game. We are still tied 0-0. We've seen some very dangerous play from both sides, and we're really excited to see what the second half has for us. I can expect to see both Har-Ber's coach and Springdale's coach talk to them, really give them that last-minute ideas and trying to just get them to play their hearts out in this game.
Yes.
I came to the clinic during school, and when I got here, they were very thoughtful and friendly to me, and they took very good care of me.
We provide a full variety of primary care services, preventative, acute care, chronic care for adults and children.
It's been very convenient for me because I haven't had to leave school and go make an appointment.
If your student gets sick, you could send them over to one of the wellness centers rather than having to take off of work.
It's kind of hard sometimes to get out of the work. It's just good that they have like a school-based clinic, because like that, if the child is sick, they could just come over here without the parent even coming in.
Anybody can come to the clinic.
Our motto is healthy people, healthy community, and we thought what better way to help improve the health of our community than by starting in our schools.
For over 20 years, Community Clinic has served Washington County with quality and affordable health care. With 3 wellness centers in Springdale, located at Jones, George, and Elmdale Elementary, our services include primary care, pediatrics, prenatal, behavioral health, and physical therapy. We offer services in English, Spanish, and Marshallese so that we can help your family. The Community Clinic, healthy people, healthy community.
Springdale Public Schools are connecting students to
student achievement,
Safety,
personalized teaching,
partnerships.
At Springdale Public Schools, we're given every opportunity to succeed because we are #the choice for
education,
athletics,
music,
Athletics in Springdale has been producing winners since 1910. Our coaches do a tremendous job connecting our students to our schools. We are one community.
I really like to work on one class for a whole day, which I have the flexibility to do.
So as we were looking at all the various programs, we looked at several different programs, but the one that we were most excited about was the School of Innovation's virtual school, because it seemed to have a good balance of it being well organized with a good pace, but at the same time allowing for some flexibility to work with our own schedule, and then also allow our kids to be interested in other things as well.
Well, I'm able to help my parents and their company.
So she's helping us to figure out who gets what and put them in the boxes and take them and weigh them and shipping. And so she got to see and be involved in that whole process along the way of what it looks like to try to start a business, which is really fun for her.
So my parents and I, we own a company called Chica. It's a company that inspires girls, and we try to really help girls build up their inner strength. We have super cool apparel and events.
Unless she's testing, she can walk away from the middle of her math lesson and come in and see what we have going on.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things.
We started homeschooling about, 3 years ago. Right now, there's so much available in terms of homeschooling that it's a little bit overwhelming.
So I started homeschooling in the 5th grade, and we were doing club soccer, so we were traveling.
I first became interested in the Don Tyson School of Innovation, just what they were doing, and was fascinated by their approach. So I went and studied their website and saw that they had a virtual school.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things. And then also being able to contact teachers if I have questions that my parents can't deal with.
She really loves science, and she was moving so fast that they were able to actually move her up a grade. But then her math, she was kind of struggling with that a little bit, so we were able to try and tweak the program to fit where her needs were.
I'd love to go and play college soccer. I'd love to go as high up as I can in the soccer world. But I think ultimately I'd love to work for NASA, either as an astronomer or as some kind of engineer to help colonize different planets.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation in the Springdale Schools now offers middle-level courses. If you are entering 6th or 7th grade, you can enroll now at the School of Innovation. School of Innovation offers complete options for an advanced placement program. Students can take classes at an accelerated pace to complete high school with time for other opportunities. Students can attend high school and earn an associate's degree at the same time. At the School of Innovation, you can also earn certifications that are recognized in business and industry. In 7th grade, academic programs include STEM instruction in math and science, humanities instruction, English language, arts, and social studies, Spanish immersion for non-native speakers, Spanish for native speakers with culture and communication connection. Program of studies include East, engineering, robotics, drones, urban agriculture, medical arts, computer science, visual arts, and theater. If you're interested in applying to the School of Innovation, go to soi.sdel.org for more information and how to enroll.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus is a new opportunity for grades 6 through 12 to receive a Springdale Schools education anytime, any place. With the blended model, virtual campus students have full access to the Don Tyson School of Innovation campus during school hours for electives, clubs, tutoring, and activities.
The virtual campus is my education on my time.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus. Anytime, any place.
I think Springdale Schools is a great place to teach. They have cared about my salary. They have cared about my time.
Administration is awesome. They want to be there for the kids. I mean, they are #1 priority.
The staff, teachers, everyone's very, very nice, very polite, and very welcoming. It really feels like a family.
It's always good when you have a diverse population like Springdale for kids in the classroom to see people that look like them. So it gives them a role model.
I always say if I had somebody like me in kindergarten that could speak both of the languages, that would be tons of help.
We go out of our way to provide everything that we can so that their children can get a wonderful education, because they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Northwest Arkansas, it's growing.
That's one of the great things.
I am originally from San Antonio, and I cannot tell you, this is a wonderful place to raise your children.
It's just a great place to live, to work, and just to have fun.
Follow Springdale Public Schools on all social media platforms. On Facebook and Twitter, you can find up-to-date information about events, school closures, and student and faculty achievements. Instagram provides weekly highlights and major news. YouTube is the home for sports live streams, district news, student productions, school board meetings, and live performances. Connect to Springdale Public Schools for pictures, videos, news, events, and more.
A minute away from starting the second half here, we have Springdale Bulldogs and Har-Ber Wildcats still tied 0-0 going into the second half.
Both teams are getting those last-minute speeches done, just like right before the beginning of the game. This time probably talking about what their plans are going in the second half, what they're going to change, what they're going to keep the same.
Yeah, and that's about the last time they're going to hear from their coaches until the end of the game, so they really have to soak in everything that they're hearing right now and kind of implement into the game. We see the referees stepping back onto the pitch. They're ready to go. We're just waiting for both teams to kind of get those last-minute cheers and stretches, really, to kind of give it their all in these last 40 minutes of the game.
Like we talked about earlier at the beginning of the game, it's hot out there. The sun's just starting to go down, but it's still going to be pretty warm. So they're probably just taking those last-minute, seconds where they can just sit and just get cooled down before they're going to have to get back out there and give it 40 minutes.
And this is going to be a very, very hard 40 minutes. They're still looking to get the first goal of the night, and this is really a race against not only your opponent, but against the clock also. You have to try to get a goal as fast as you can, but I can guarantee you that the opposing teams will not be making it easy.
Yes, and also, I know from personal experience, and I bet you do not want these kind of games to go down to PKs against the hometown rival, just down to the last seconds where you're both playing so hard and you just end up 0-0 and you have to go to those PKs. You just do not want that to happen.
Absolutely, but as a spectator, I have to say I'd love to see this fight all the way to the end, and then to still have some exciting PKs. As a spectator, it doesn't really get much better than that, but as a player, I can promise you that's the last thing you want.
Yes.
Waiting for the referees to be on the same page.
Har-Ber will have the kickoff for the second half.
Y comenzamos el segundo tiempo de ese partido de Springdale Bulldogs y Har-Ber Wildcats. Vamos empatados 0-0 en ese partido. Los dos equipos tratando de agarrar ese primer gol del partido.
And we saw Springdale there attacking pretty quickly there. Number 2 just able to get it out at the last second, but Springdale's on the attack and they're ready.
Absolutely. We see both teams coming out here and playing very, very quickly. The same pace that they started off the game with. They're just playing fast and trying to get that first goal of the night.
Which is always really nice to see, the second half, just coming back and playing just as hard as you were the first half.
Absolutely.
Parsons going to be able to get there to the ball.
Har-Ber just getting that ball off of her. Alvarado looking to send that ball back in. Har-Ber with another clear.
That once again shows how dangerous Parsons is with her speed. She just sped right past that defender, was able to get to the ball, just mistouched it right there at the very end.
Absolutely. Caught all of us off guard, really. She was just very quick and was able to kind of give Har-Ber a little fright there. And Tuna looking to clear that ball, sending it out of bounds. Now, one thing I'm also noticing is these stands are getting filled up just a little bit more, just one half away from the Varsity boys, and finishing off this very intense game of Springdale Har-Ber. So they're starting to really see familiar faces out here in the crowd, and it's starting to kind of bump up that intensity level just a little bit more. Parsons pushing Springdale's offensive line as high as she possibly can, right below that 50-yard.
Yes, and even though those two defenders are up above the 50-yard line, but if you're not over that half line, you're still considered onside. So she's going to stay there until
Har-Ber
very last
dribbling down
second.
there in that box, sending a ball in. Aaron Christie getting, I believe, her back on that, doing whatever it takes just to block that shot, which she did wonderfully.
Yes, and then Antuna just able to kick it out there, but it's going to go out for a corner kick for Har-Ber.
Now this is Har-Ber's second corner kick, I believe, and they really have to kind of capitalize on these set pieces. Springdale marking nicely, Har-Ber getting ahead on the ball, but not being able to get it on target. So we're going to have a goal kick here for Springdale.
Antuna's going to take the goal kick.
Har-Ber's 23, picking it up relatively short. Number 7 for Har-Ber, sending it deep, just a little bit too far for her forward to pick that up, and Noelia picking it up with no problem. Har-Ber's number 12 running it down that left side, looking to see who she can send it to, cutting back, trying to send it forward, but Antuna cutting it off nicely. Har-Ber still having the ball, sending a long ball there. Noelia picking it up with no pressure at all. Danny Avila there getting the first touch.
She's going to battle with number 10.
Giselle Estrada setting a deep ball. Again, just a little bit too far for her forward to be able to pick that up. That's a couple of dangerous little balls there from Har-Ber. Just a little bit too far for their forwards to be able to pick it up and get a foot on it. But nonetheless, good balls. There seems to be no communication there. The ball was just standing there. No players picking it up. And that's something that you can absolutely not let happen. You just have to be ready to get that ball at all times.
Yes, that was a very dangerous ball too. It was in a very good position to be able to get that ball up to a forward, and they just all sat there and just kind of watched the ball.
And that was dangerous either way, in all honesty. Springdale could have gotten a big ball on that, send it upfield. Parsons would have chased it down and just put it behind that net, or Har-Ber vice versa could have sent it forward and gotten a touch on that. Springdale throw in here.
Going to try to get it out of their defensive half.
Yesenia giving that head forward. Heather getting a touch on it, keeping it in bounds with a nice turn there. We have Parsons trying to get that ball on the short side. Heather picking it up for a throw and very quickly playing it in to Danny. Danny getting a touch on that, looking to see that long ball, not quite getting a good touch on that, sending it out of bounds, but the idea was there. It was very clear that she was trying to send Parsons down that left side.
Yes. And they're going to call that out of bounds for Springdale, for Har-Ber throw-in.
One thing that Har-Ber does do very well that Springdale really has to keep an eye out for is that whenever Har-Ber is pushing in Springdale's defensive half, they're able to keep it there and really maintain possession of the ball there. So Springdale isn't letting any of the balls through, but they still have to try to get it out of their defensive half.
Because this game is a game of defense and offense.
Ball sent into the center there, sent in.
That looked like no problem there for the goalkeeper.
She was very calm, cool, and collected, picked it up with no problem, but if Har-Ber's number 12 would have been able to get a better hit on that, I can't be so sure of that.
That's one thing that I really enjoy about Noelia as a goalkeeper, is that she is very calm and collected.
We have a long ball here from Parsons called offsides. That's really going to be the play that's going to be hurting Har-Ber. Parsons is very, very quick. She's pushing that line as high as she can for Springdale. So if they get one of those breakaway balls and it's not called offsides, it's going to be very hard to catch up to Parsons. She's very quick.
And another thing I've noticed is that this defense, the Har-Ber's defensive side, they've stopped kind of moving that girl back there. They've kept them up, so they're not going to have that much. Parsons won't have that much wiggle room to run.
Long ball here. Yesenia looking at that ball, seeing if she can play it up to Parsons. Long ball there. Parsons trying to get around that defender for Har-Ber, but maintaining possession very well.
Another thing I really love about Parsons is that she's going to run until that goalkeeper has the possession of the ball. She was right there. The goalkeeper hadn't picked it up yet. She was running as fast as she could to see if she could get it past the goalkeeper in the last second.
Yeah, she's not going to give up on any opportunity to try to score a goal here. Long ball from Har-Ber, cutting position. R7 running. Noelia getting that ball very nicely, giving her defensive line that reassurance that she's there. Yesenia sending a long ball there. Har-Ber picking it up at the defensive line, but Parsons continues to put pressure. That's Giselle Alvarado there looking to see who she can give it the ball to, playing it out wide, but just a little too far and sending it out of bounds. That's one thing that Har-Ber's really been focusing on in their offensive half, at least, is what I've noticed. They don't rely too much on playing short passes and wall passes and moving off the ball. They're really focusing on playing those through balls and just running straight to them and trying to get a hit off of them.
They're really just playing the game to try to catch Springdale off guard and try to get those last-minute things in where maybe Springdale doesn't see a player on the other side or something like that.
And while they've been doing it, we have Noelia not being able to get possession of the ball there. And we have a goal there for Har-Ber. There just seemed to be referee disallows the goal.
The referee decides that that goal is not going to count.
No, he notifies the timekeeper to stop the time. The goal is going to count. What happened there, it looked like, was that Noelia couldn't quite get possession of that ball in her hands, and it might have slipped out. Har-Ber was able to knock it out of her hands, and it just rolled into goal, and that's one of those unfortunate things that happens, and now Springdale really has to make up for that. Again, this first goal of the game is really going to be a huge part of the game. I mean, Springdale is now down 1-0 with 30 minutes left, which is still plenty of time, but the pressure definitely now is on that they are down on the scoreboard 1-0.
And I know that that's going to be so hard on Noelia, just to know that she had her hands on that ball and just was not able to keep it in her hands. But she's just going to have to get past that and play for the remaining 30 minutes and just play as hard as she can.
Absolutely. That's part of the game. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen that you don't expect to happen, and you're going to have to keep that mindset and keep on fighting for every single ball. We have Danny Avila there getting the ball possession. Har-Ber just coming in at the very last minute, take it off of her. Danny Avila is really, really hungry for a goal. She picked that up and was just setting herself up for that shot and wasn't able to get it. But now we have Springdale with the corner kick.
It was almost like Har-Ber kind of let their guard down there for a second. They kind of just were playing a little short pass, just not really worried about it. And Danny just came out of nowhere and took the ball almost to the goal and scored.
She showed no mercy. She is not going to let that slide by. She took possession of that ball. We have the ball sent back out. Jessica Alvarado deflecting it off of Har-Ber, who keeps it in bounds, but Springdale's able to pick it up. Throw in for Springdale.
She's going to throw a far throw in.
Springdale definitely still is in the game with just under 30 minutes, half an hour to get an equalizer or to even get up top on the scoreboard. So they definitely still have every opportunity. They still have the fight in them, and it's definitely showing on the field.
That's one thing I love about the Springdale team is that even when they're down, they're going to keep fighting and playing as hard as they can. They're not going to let that one goal get them down. They're going to just play.
Absolutely, and we should expect nothing less. They're definitely a fighting team. We can tell the last time that they're at their home game, it was a very, very intense game, and they fought all the way to the end. Even through PKs, they were there, and they were still in the fight to the very end. So I expect nothing less from Springdale than for them to continue fighting and to hopefully get a goal also. We have a push there on Har-Ber, giving Springdale a free kick.
And another thing I've noticed about this Har-Ber team is that even though they are up 1, they're still playing as hard as they were whenever they were still tied 0-0. They're not going to give anything up. They're going to say, we're going to keep playing, we're going to get more goals, we want more goals, so they're not going to stop.
Of course, they recognize that it's just 1 goal up, and Springdale could just as easily get one in. So they're also keeping their guard up, realizing that Springdale's not too far away. We have Jasenia here picking it up on the right side, looking to see that center, sending it in nicely. Avila not being able to get a good touch on that, but she had no mark, and that could have been very dangerous. That was a very, very nice play. Just unlucky on that last touch. Aaron Christie heading it up. We have Alexa Calderon defending very nicely, keeping her eye on the ball. Har-Ber with a nice play here, looking to play and move, and that's really benefiting them there. Alvarado heading it to Danny, who just sends a touch just a little too far. Still gets the ball, though. Oh, they need to keep communication there. We saw Danny and Parsons looking, and that could have been something dangerous, but again, the communication just wasn't there.
That's one thing that this Springdale team's really going to need to work on, is their communication on and off the field, on and off the ball. Is just talking and knowing what's going on and being able to talk.
We have a foul here on Har-Ber for Springdale. Referee talking with number 21. Referee is asking to stop the clock. And we're going to get a substitution suggested by the assistant referee for whatever reason.
For number 7, it could possibly be maybe like a bloody nose or something like that, just something that she needs to come off the field to get figured out and then go back in.
It does look like it's a bloody nose. She's grabbing her face, and it looks like she's going to get patched up just to get back into the game. Long ball there from Springdale. We have an offsides call. Springdale anticipating this long ball to be sent in from Har-Ber. And they do just that, picking up the ball from that free kick, sending it right back into Har-Ber's defensive half. We have Danny there getting possession, sending it upfield, letting Parsons battle it out. And Parsons doing just that and getting the ball, and unfortunately not being able to maintain possession. Har-Ber playing it out wide nicely, just a little too far ahead. That's one thing that Giselle Estrada from Har-Ber has really done a couple times in this game, and it's kind of affected the way her players are running. I mean, they're running to balls that they can't reach, and she's been setting a lot of balls that really are just tiring out her players. Trying to play a fast one there on Springdale, but it was able to pick that up very nicely. We have a throw in there that went straight out and giving Springdale the throw in.
And they're going to call I believe, a foul on Har-Ber for Springdale free kick.
Looked like to me it might have been a small clip at the ankle, nothing too serious, possibly not even intentional, but nonetheless a foul.
And we know that Delgado has a really good foot on her, so she's going to play this in.
Alvarado getting a header, sending it back. Har-Ber's goalkeeper just picking it up and giving her teammates time to push up.
Good punt by the Har-Ber goalkeeper.
Springdale's Aaron Christie setting it upfield. Danny there trying to get possession of the ball, looking to see who she can pass it to. Getting a long ball to Parsons. Parsons going 2v1 there, trying to get a shot from back there. wasn't going to quite make it there, and sending it straight into the keeper's hands.
It looks like that also could have been a little bit of a miss kick, maybe because that defender came up and maybe touched the ball as well.
Delgado there getting possession, playing it wide, and Har-Ber being forced to kick it out of bounds to give her teammates time to come back and help her out.
Now we see all this Springdale's team getting down into the box, trying to get the ball in, try to score a goal.
The ball is going to stay in Har-Ber's defensive half, and Springdale's going to try to get something out of this. I mean, if the sooner they can get a goal, the better, so they can get back in this and try to get back on top.
It's going to go out again for another Springdale throw.
Springdale really has to not rely on Har-Ber to be kicking out of bounds, and they need to make a play there and make something out of these throw-ins that they continuously keep on getting.
Yes.
Har-Ber's number 12 sending it upfield, giving 21 a long ball there. Estrada there running down that side, keeping it in bounds, not being able to get past Delgado. She's defending very nicely with that back heel pass. It's very, very nice. And we're going to have a foul there on Springdale for Har-Ber. It looked like a small push from behind. Again, nothing too serious, nothing too intentional. No cards need to be awarded, but nonetheless a foul.
And we see Har-Ber still keeping their 3 defenders back, knowing that Parsons and Yesenia both are going to be ready to run as soon as they get the chance to.
We're seeing the same marking style that we see on corners, where they're marked very tightly to an opposing player, and that's just going to make it even harder for Har-Ber to try to get past. Har-Ber's 23 getting there, enough time to turn, sending it into the midfield. Erin Christie only thinks between the 2 defenders. Noelia getting there just in time. Har-Ber getting stopped there by Har-Ber's defender, not making it easy for her to get a ball in at all. Very good defensive reaction from Springdale.
It looks like number 12 was upset, like maybe there possibly should have been the PK awarded or something like that, but ref says that there was nothing there, just that it was all fair.
Har-Ber with another attack here. Erin Christie having to send it out of bounds.
And once again, that's that communication coming into play. Erin Christie didn't know if the goalkeeper was coming out to get it, so she had to wait until the very last second to kick it out because she didn't know if the goalkeeper was trying to come out and get it.
And I understand it 100%. I mean, especially as a center back, sometimes you have to make those executive decisions. If you see your goalkeeper coming out and you don't feel like they'll make it just in time, you just have to kick it out of there last second, just get out of the danger zone. Har-Ber trying to turn and get that ball in. Giselle turning. And we have Springdale trying to defend that. Noelia reaching for that ball. The ball being played out. Springdale struggling, but getting the ball out of there. And Har-Ber coming back to try to get possession of that ball.
And while that did look a little bit crazy and messy, sometimes that's all you can do is just go in swinging and hope that you get your foot on the ball to get it out of bounds.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you get the ball out of there, but as long as you do it, and that's exactly what happened here. We had Noelia crawling on the ground, just trying to get possession of that. All the defenders scrambling to try to get a big boot on that and trying to kick it upfield. And Springdale was able to do just that.
And number 5 and number 7 also just came back into the game for Har-Ber.
Giselle Estrada not being able to turn comfortably with Jessica Alvarado on her back. Long throw here, really coming all the way back to send the ball out of bounds. Springdale's falling into the same situation that they found themselves in earlier, where they're just trying to send the balls out of their defensive half, and they're struggling to keep it out, and Har-Ber's doing a very good job of keeping it in Springdale's defensive half. Estrada with another back heel, but it being intercepted by Springdale. Yesenia trying to put pressure on that ball. Delgado keeping good control of the ball, looking at her options. She sees Danny running right next to her. We have that long ball for Parsons. Parsons sprinting, and the goalkeeper picking it up.
Just a little bit too much on the ball there.
We really have to see Springdale kind of keep the composure on those balls when they're on the attack. They can't just be wasting those balls by sending long balls there. They really have to try to capitalize on that, especially with only 18 minutes left in the game.
And I feel like that's one thing we see from both teams here is that they are both kind of starting to play those long balls like we were talking about earlier on in the first half. They're trying to play those long balls to go and get them, but their players are starting to get tired. They're not going to be able to make those runs as fast.
Har-Ber with the center. Karen Antuna getting her head first on that ball. Jessica Alvarado trying to get the ball and getting a push from behind. That was a very clear foul there. Again, I don't think necessary enough for a yellow card. Things seem to be, for the most part, under control, but still a push from behind. We have Har-Ber losing possession of that ball, creeping towards their defensive half. And here we have Avila trying to get a header on that, and being stopped, and that was a foul right outside of the box. This could be very, very dangerous for Har-Ber. Springdale really needs to capitalize on this. They need to put one in to get to an even playing field.
But one thing we need to make sure to not see from Alvarado is just kicking it over the goal and getting too excited and not knowing what to do. She just needs to be very calm and composed and maybe even play the ball out wide to someone else.
Yes, I think we're going to see an attempt at goal here. So what we need to see from Springdale's offensive players is being ready to recover all those balls that are bouncing back. We have a shot there. Ooh, nearly missing goal right above. It is going to go for a goal kick. If you see right there behind Har-Ber's goal, we see Springdale Varsity boys warming up, getting ready for their game coming up here in a few minutes.
Number 13 for Har-Ber carrying it down the field.
Karen Antuna covering very nicely that possession. And we have a foul here, it looks like.
On Karen Antuna. Going to be for Har-Ber.
I'm not sure exactly what the referee saw there, but Karen Antuna was covering possession of the ball. Might have gotten an arm up there a little too high, but obviously the referee saw something that we didn't.
Coach Beeler obviously not happy about that, not knowing exactly what was being called, but nonetheless the ref will say that this is a foul.
Yeah, I think a lot of us here are left kind of wondering what exactly was called, but it's already been called, and that's going to go for a shot at goal. It went over the goal. Just 15 minutes left in the second half, and Springdale still down 1-0, trying to get that equalizer.
Ball over.
Alvarado sending that long ball, giving Danny the opportunity to go run. Har-Ber kicking it out of bounds. Looking for that ball to be centered in. Centering the ball, and Har-Ber's goalkeeper picking it up nicely out of the air.
She's going to get rid of that as soon as possible and try to get it down the field for her team.
Har-Ber sends a long ball, 21 running down. Noelia picking it up nicely. Con solamente 14 minutos en este partido. Springdale está abajo 1-0 y están buscando ese empate para seguir jugando en este partido. 21 for Har-Ber running, setting a long ball with no offensive player. Aaron Christie communicating with Noelio. Noelio picking it up nicely. There we see Giselle, number 10 for Har-Ber. She has a very obvious composition whenever she plays. She plays the ball. She doesn't stress herself out with what the play she's going to do next. She first maintains possession of the ball, then looks at her options and plays the best one that she sees. And that's something that's really been helping Har-Ber out, especially there in that midfield. She's maintaining possession of that ball and seeing what the best option is.
And now we see Springdale creeping further and further back into Har-Ber's defensive half.
Now this is whenever the race against the clock and your opponent really starts to come into play. With just a little over 10 minutes left in the second half before the game is over, we have to see Springdale not only try to get a goal as fast as possible, but also do that whilst Har-Ber is going to make it very hard and defend on them very hard so they can try to keep that lead.
Definitely, now that we're down to only about 12 minutes left, those teams are starting to realize that we do have that 1-0 lead, so maybe we need to start defending more than we need to start working on that offense.
And Tuna coming out, I believe getting a knee in the face, but she took that risk as a defender, and she defended that ball very, very well. She came out aggressively, knowing the risk, getting down and sliding for that ball, but she's up and she's ready to go. She took a hard hit, but she did what was necessary to defend. That just goes to show the passion and really emotions that are into this game. She was willing to sacrifice her face to try to defend that ball there, and that's just what Springdale needs. They need those defenders that are willing to defend the ball at all cost, and that's exactly what Karen and Tuna is bringing to the team.
Yes.
One thing that I've been noticing, especially in the second half, is we see one team pushing into the other team's defensive half, keeping it there for a couple of plays, and then really kind of keeping it there and giving the other team a hard time. So we've been seeing this back and forth of Springdale being in their own defensive half, trying to get the ball out of there, and then they see Har-Ber doing the same.
Which I feel is almost like a showing you just how evenly matched these teams are. We just had that one goal that was just a little bit of a mistake there. But this shows how evenly matched they are. They're both just playing and trying their hardest.
We have Desire Perez again.
There's going to be a foul for Springdale.
Just under 10 minutes now left in the rest of the game, and Springdale really has to keep on fighting to get that equalizer in the game so they can try to get on top. As of right now, they are down 1-0, and they're really, really fighting to try to keep their heads in the game. Desire very quick also, playing a long ball there. Har-Ber's forward just a little bit too far left on that play, not being able to recover that ball. this is really one of those games where every little thing comes down to the wire, and that goalkeeping and defensive mistake that Springdale made really put an impact into the game. It's every little thing counts, and it's really showing now, especially for Springdale, who's trying so very hard to get that equalizer.
The ball's going to go out for a Springdale throw.
Foul on Springdale for Har-Ber. We have Jessica Alvarado and Desire Perez. Again, two very, very good players, and whenever you put two very good players like that 1v1, there's definitely going to be some aggressive tackles, some very high level of play trying to get that ball.
Yep, and the ref just giving them a little talk and saying, hey guys, like let's calm it down a little bit.
Absolutely, the referee's still maintaining control of the game, making sure tempers are under control and that both teams are playing a great game. We have a long ball there from Estrada, sending it for goal, and Noelia picking it up.
That's another one thing I've really enjoyed about this game is that it hasn't been super overly aggressive. It hasn't gotten too much of a battle. It's been just a good game of soccer.
Alvarado with that long ball. We have Heather here on this left side, sending the ball back into the center. We have Danny there getting a chest on it, trying to maintain possession. Two Springdale players bumping into each other, losing possession of the ball. We have Desire Perez coming down the middle. We have a hard tackle. The referee says, play on.
A little bit of a tussle there between Noelia and number 7, but Noelia and number 7 are both going to come out of it just fine.
Starting to come down really close to the wire in time. Springdale has to really get one going. Now would be a perfect time to get one, especially with this free kick, trying to take advantage of this, just to give them those last few minutes of fighting to try to get that those goals that they really need. Great ball there. We have Har-Ber with the handball right outside of the big yard box.
And we saw that last time they almost scored. Heather almost scored off of the last free kick, so maybe we're going to see something like that again, or maybe we'll see another just like a short pass or something like that. Let's see.
Looks like Delgado will be playing this one. Har-Ber setting up 4 on the wall. This would be really, really perfect timing for Springdale to score. They need it now more than ever. With the great ball there, hitting the post and being out of bounds. That's two very, very close free kicks that Springdale needed very, very desperately, especially now coming down to a little over 5 minutes and being down 1-0. We see Har-Ber playing it out wide here. Har-Ber trying to get another one here. 13 running out of bounds, giving Springdale the throw, and Springdale's really trying to hurry and get the ball upfield as much as possible.
But one thing that they just have to remember is that the speed can't change the accuracy. They've been playing a really on-point, precise game, and they just because they're moving faster doesn't mean that they can stop worrying about that accuracy that they've been playing with.
Exactly. Right now they need more quality than they do quantity. They just need one attack that's going to get them a goal to get them back into the game. They could reach goal 1,000 times, but it won't matter if they can't get one into the net.
And at the end of the day, 4 minutes is a long time in soccer because, you know, goals can be scored in like the last 2 or 3 seconds of a game, but they have all the time in the world, it feels like, with 4 minutes left, so they just really need to slow it down and play precise.
All of these seconds that are counting down are so very valuable. Not only does Springdale need to get a goal, but if and or when they do, they need to keep it at that, either get another one or to keep Har-Ber from scoring another one.
Which is a very difficult decision that the team has to make. You know, do we want to try to go for that second goal, or do we risk our defense, or do we want to really strengthen our defense and not go at risk of not scoring again?
Springdale again trying to get that ball out of the defensive half. This is exactly what Har-Ber would want. They would want to keep pushing on Springdale as much as possible, just run that clock out of time. Right now is not the time to want to get another goal. They just want to keep the lead that they have and let the time run out. It's going to be a corner kick for Har-Ber. Again, these are precious, precious seconds. They just keep counting down more and more closer to the end of the game. And we see Har-Ber definitely acknowledging that, making a substitution, looking to see calmly what their next play is going to be. They have a corner kick here. They definitely recognize the time is short and precious. We have a ball there that's going to get sent out of bounds, giving Springdale the goal kick. Now when it comes down to so little time, Springdale really has to take advantage of any time they have the ball. They should be pushing up with every chance that they get and not letting Har-Ber push on. We have a miscommunication there. Har-Ber getting the ball in the center. Springdale defending it nicely. Miscommunication there again.
That's definitely one thing I feel like Beeler is going to need to sit down with his team and talk about, is their communication. They just, especially in the back, I mean, they work really well together, but there are some times where they kind of get tangled up in each other and don't know what to do.
And that can prove to be very, very difficult, especially when you're playing against a good quality team like Har-Ber, who's going to take advantage of any time that you have a miscommunication, you don't maintain possession. We have Danny here trying to send it to Yesenia. We have some pushing there on Har-Ber, giving Springdale the ball. Giselle Estrada seeming to get a little bit heated there against Danny, who was able to hold her own and keep on running.
But I feel like that's shows the composure of Danny. Just even though Giselle was there, really kind of going at her and grabbing at her shirt, Danny was just keeping calm and collected and just playing.
Under a minute now, just 40 seconds, and Springdale really needs to take advantage of this here. We have a long ball here, and it's going to go out for a corner. This very well could be the last dangerous attack that Springdale has.
Everyone jumping in, everyone coming in, just number 7 for Har-Ber staying out.
We have Springdale's goalkeeper all the way to half field just to push all of her numbers up top. We have Springdale rushing back to try to get possession of that ball. We just have just about 5 seconds now, and things are starting to boil down. I think the players recognize that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Springdale and Springdale Har-Ber varsity girls game. Har-Ber winning the game 1-0. Eso es todo para este partido de Springdale contra Har-Ber del equipo femenino de Varsity. Har-Ber ganó el partido 1-0 contra Springdale, y un ratito vamos a comenzar con el partido de Varsity Boys. That is it. Tune back in for the Springdale Varsity Boys.
I came to the clinic during school, and when I got here, they were very thoughtful and friendly to me, and they took very good care of me.
We provide a full variety of primary care services, preventative, acute care, chronic care for adults and children.
It's been very convenient for me because I haven't had to leave school and go make an appointment.
If your student gets sick, you could send them over to one of the wellness centers rather than having to take off of work.
it's kind of hard sometimes to get out of the work. It's just good that they have like a school-based clinic, because like that, if the child is sick, they could just come over here without the parent even coming in.
Anybody can come to the clinic.
Our motto is healthy people, healthy community, and we thought what better way to help improve the health of our community than by starting in our schools.
For over 20 years, Community Clinic has served Washington County with quality and affordable health care. With 3 wellness centers in Springdale, located at Jones, George, and Elmdale Elementary, our services include primary care, pediatrics, prenatal, behavioral health, and physical therapy. We offer services in English, Spanish, and Marshallese so that we can help your family. The Community Clinic, healthy people, healthy community.
Springdale Public Schools are connecting students to
student achievement,
safety, personalized teaching,
partnerships.
At Springdale Public Schools, we're given every opportunity to succeed because we are #the choice for
education,
athletics,
music,
Athletics in Springdale has been producing winners since 1910. Our coaches do a tremendous job connecting our students to our schools. We are one community.
I really like to work on one class for a whole day, which I have the flexibility to do.
So as we were looking at all the various programs, we looked at several different programs, but the one that we were most excited about was the School of Innovation's virtual school, because it seemed to have a good balance of it being well organized with a good pace, but at the same time allowing for some flexibility to work with our own schedule, and then also allow our kids to be interested in other things as well.
Well, I'm able to help my parents and their company.
So she's helping us to figure out who gets what and put them in the boxes and take them and weigh them and shipping. And so she got to see and be involved in that whole process along the way of what it looks like to try to start a business, which was really fun for her.
So my parents and we own a company called Chica. It's a company that inspires girls, and we try to really help girls build up their inner strength. We have super cool apparel and events.
Unless she's testing, she can walk away from the middle of her math lesson and come in and see what we have going on.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things.
We started homeschooling about, 3 years ago. Right now there's so much available in terms of homeschooling that it's a little bit overwhelming.
So I started homeschooling in the 5th grade, and we were doing club soccer, so we were traveling.
I first became interested in the Don Tyson School of Innovation, just what they were doing, and was fascinated by their approach. So I went and studied their website and saw that they had a virtual school.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things. And then also being able to contact teachers if I have questions that my parents can't deal with.
She really loves science, and she was moving so fast that they were able to actually move her up a grade. But then her math, she was kind of struggling with that a little bit, so we were able to try and tweak the program to fit where her needs were.
I'd love to go and play college soccer. I'd love to go as high up as I can in the soccer world. But I think ultimately I'd love to work for NASA, either as an astronomer or as some kind of engineer to help colonize different planets.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation in the Springdale Schools now offers middle-level courses. If you are entering 6th or 7th grade, you can enroll now at the School of Innovation. School of Innovation offers complete options for an advanced placement program. Students can take classes at an accelerated pace to complete high school with time for other opportunities. Students can attend high school and earn an associate's degree at the same time. At the School of Innovation, you can also earn certifications that are recognized in business and industry. In 7th grade, academic programs include STEM instruction in math and science, humanities instruction, English language, arts, and social studies, Spanish immersion for non-native speakers, Spanish for native speakers with culture and communication connection. Program of studies include East, engineering, robotics, drones, urban agriculture, medical arts, computer science, visual arts, and theater. If you're interested in applying to the School of Innovation, go to soi.sdel.org for more information and how to enroll.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus is a new opportunity for grades 6 through 12 to receive a Springdale Schools education anytime, any place. With the blended model, virtual campus students have full access to the Don Tyson School of Innovation campus during school hours for electives, clubs, tutoring, and activities.
The virtual campus is my education on my time.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus. Anytime, any place.
I think Springdale Schools is a great place to teach. They have cared about my salary. They have cared about my time. Administration is awesome. They want to be there for the kids. I mean, they are number one priority.
The staff, teachers, everyone's very, very nice, very polite, and very welcoming. It really feels like a family.
It's always good when you have a diverse population like Springdale for kids in the classroom to see people that look like them, so it gives them a role model.
I always say if I had somebody like me in kindergarten that could speak both of the languages, that would be tons of help.
We go out of our way to provide everything that we can so that their children can get a wonderful education, because they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Northwest Arkansas, it's growing. That's one of the great things.
I am originally from San Antonio, and I cannot tell you, this is a wonderful place to raise your children.
It's just a great place to live, to work, and just to have fun.
Follow Springdale Public Schools on all social media platforms. On Facebook and Twitter, you can find up-to-date information about events, school closures, and student and faculty achievements. Instagram provides weekly highlights and major news. YouTube is the home for sports live streams, district news, student productions, school board meetings, and live performances. Connect to Springdale Public Schools for pictures, videos, news, events, and more.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have another great matchup here. Springdale Bulldogs varsity boys and Springdale Har-Ber Wildcats varsity boys. We're expecting another great matchup here. We have the current record of both teams. For Springdale, we have an overall record of 3-2, and for the Wildcats, we have a current record of 6-3. But in league, Springdale is leading the teams with 2-0, and Har-Ber is 1-1 in league. So we can really expect to see some good quality playing here. Again, just like with the ladies' game, we have rivals, people who play with each other in club and have known each other since they were kids. And even though on the books we have Fayetteville as our rival for Springdale, in reality, this is another great rivalry we have across town. It's been here forever, and Springdale has had a really good season athletically, and we hope to see Springdale soccer program keep that flow going that Springdale has had. They've had a great season, and we hope to see that keep on going today.
Definitely. We've got about 5 seconds left until the game's about to start. We just got to get the refs out here, get those cones picked up on Springdale's side, and we'll be ready to start.
And as I mentioned earlier, Springdale is leading the league with 2-0 record. Last time they were at their home field, they won 6-0 against Rogers Heritage, and then their next game that was away at Bentonville West, they won 5-1. So they've definitely had a great start to the season. We hope to see that continue on to today, They've started off great with a lot of goals in favor, and we hope to see Har-Ber give them a run for their money and make this a really, really interesting and exciting game.
Yes, and a really awesome thing to see is all the fans that are out here tonight. This is the stadium is getting packed with people that are excited to see how this game is going to turn out.
Absolutely. We have players who just finished playing, both JV girls and varsity girls, who are staying to support their teammates and really cheer on everybody that's out on the pitch today. Hoy tenemos un partido muy emocionante de Springdale Bulldogs, hombres y Har-Ber Wildcats, los equipos varsity. Estamos esperando un partido muy emocionante y interesante hoy en día. Now I can speak from experience, and I'm sure you can too, what it's like to be playing your crosstown rivals and what you can think about your mentality whenever you're about to play. I mean, there's nerves, there's excitement. Again, for a lot of these seniors, just like with the varsity team for girls, this is their first game against Har-Ber. So it's really going to bring up the stakes that much higher. These are players that they know personally, and they really need to kind of step it up and show what they've been working on all year.
Mm-hmm. Like when I was playing last year, there were 2 or 3 girls on the varsity team for Har-Ber's varsity team that I played club with, and I knew and I was good friends with and talked to and all that kind of stuff. And it was, it almost makes you work that much harder because you know those people. You're like, I've got to beat this person, because they're on my club team or they're my friend, and I just have to beat them.
I couldn't relate more. Whenever I was playing with Har-Ber, against Har-Ber, that is, I had players that I've grown up with that I've known since I was under 10 years old. Mm-hmm. So these are some of your best friends that you go and play afterwards in club, and it really does make it that much more exciting to play, have that kind of camaraderie and brotherhood with your opponents. It makes it that much more respectable whenever you're playing. There might be some tough tackles, but you can expect it, and you know that they don't have bad intentions in doing it, that it's just part of the game.
Looks like we're about to get out there and start playing. Springdale's taking the field. Just waiting for Har-Ber to get out there.
Now, some of the players for the starting lineup for Springdale are Celeste Martinez as right back. We have Gilberto Razo for center back for Springdale. We have Javier Solis, number 15. Left midfielder, we have Jorge Avalos playing left back for Springdale. We have Nelson Barroso playing center mid. Irving Sotero playing just right above him. And we have Jose Vega as striker. And on the right side of the field, it looks like we have Danny Maldonado, and we also have Jorge. Just seconds away from starting this great game that we're expecting to have.
And we see immediately that Springdale's going to overload one side to try to play the ball fast and quick.
We saw this last time they played also, where they play it back and send a very big ball. It really kind of throws off the players. Right away, we see a huge speed of play. Both teams are playing very, very quickly. We have number 9 there, Renee.
And that's going to be Har-Ber ball.
I can tell you right now, from this early on, we see both teams playing very, very quickly, very, very intensely. They're both looking to be the first team to score that goal. Danny Maldonado on this left side, number 11, cutting very nicely, taking 2 Har-Ber players to get a nice center in there. We have Renee with the player on his back. That's Joel Guzman on the right side, number 16 for Springdale. We have Nelson there passing to Irving. Irving looking to see who we can give it to. Still maintaining possession of the ball, playing it back.
Good ball in there.
Sylvester playing it. Danny Maldonado looking to try to get possession of that ball, and Har-Ber having to kick it out. One thing that I'm noticing really quick off the bat, is that we see the midfielders there for Springdale communicating very well. Sometimes without even talking, we see Nelson Broso there speaking with Irving Sotero. Not only do they communicate with words, but they're also just a look and knowing your players moving off the ball without having to even speak is huge, especially in games like this.
Yes, and also another big thing I'm
We have a
noticing.
foul there on Danny Maldonado for Springdale.
Another big thing I'm noticing right off the bat is how intense both teams are playing. They are coming out. They are ready to play and fight for this. They want to be the first person to score. They want to win this game against their hometown rival.
We see Springdale with 3 captains, 2 up top, Javier Solis, Jose Vega, and center back for Springdale, Gilberto Razo. We see Nelson and Danny Maldonado on this left side. Danny faking the run, Nelson playing a short, Danny Maldonado with the good hit just out wide. We see great variety of play right off the bat. We see Nelson and Danny Maldonado there moving, making a quick play, catching Har-Ber off guard. They weren't able to mark Danny fast enough, but he wasn't able to get a shot right on target. Nonetheless, great play, great speed of play. It's only going to get better from here.
And that's something I absolutely love to see from these types of teams is like sometimes those long balls and the on-goal free kicks are just a little bit, cliche, and a lot of times they don't work. They're either going to go over or out of bounds. But seeing that short play was perfect. I thought that worked out really well, and they almost got a goal from it.
Oh, great pass there from Danny Maldonado, passing backwards to Nelson, who played him short. It was called out of bounds, though.
And even there we see they didn't hear the whistle. They just kept playing. They're just ready to play. They want to be out there playing.
One thing that I'm really excited to see is Jose Vega. Last time he was at a home game, he had just been recovering after being having the flu for an entire week, and he had a spectacular game. So now that he's had some more time to recover, I can't wait to see the type of quality he's going to bring. We have Irving Sotero there passing the ball to Jose Vega. Jose Vega maintaining possession there. Looking to see who he can pass it to, sending a nice ball in the center, and we have Har-Ber just barely picking it up. The keeper reacting very nicely. We have Renee there receiving the center from Jose Vega, just not being able to put it behind the net. Big punt there from Har-Ber. We see composed goalkeeper and right back for Springdale, and in goal today for Springdale is Abraham Cordero, who has very high quality goalkeeper. We see him communicating a lot with his defenders, and that's a huge part of it. I mean, I played as a defender, you as a goalkeeper. I think we both understand how essential it is for a keeper to talk to the defensive lineman. I mean, they can see the entire game from where they're standing, so it's crucial that a goalkeeper is able to communicate.
Definitely, and even if it's not really even a communication, maybe just like a word or a phrase or just something to where they know what you're trying to say, you and the defense just have to know that and be able to do that. And I feel like this team definitely has that connection. Both teams do.
Great ball sent in there from Jorge. Irving Sotero turning very beautifully with the ball, passing it back to Nelson with the long shot there, blocked by Har-Ber's goalkeeper, not being able to keep it in his hands. I am seeing great quality from Springdale. What they're doing is they're passing, keeping Har-Ber on their toes. They're having to defend almost every attack that Springdale has. It's looking to be very dangerous.
They're really just trying to outpace Har-Ber, and I believe they're doing it so far. They're playing super quick and just knowing exactly what they're doing and just staying one step ahead.
What initially looked like to be a corner kick, the referee must have gotten some input from his assistant referee, and it is now going to be a goal kick.
Or a free kick.
It might have been offsides. We have Nelson there holding down, receiving just about every ball and getting possession of it very nicely. We have an offsides call from assistant referee. And the center referee picking up on that and awarding the offsides.
And one thing I really, really would like to say really quickly, just randomly, is the refereeing has been really, really well done tonight. I like that the center referee is taking that input from his assistant referees. Sometimes you see center refs that just like to call their own game, but looking at the assistants and knowing that they can see the field as well is really crucial to the game.
Absolutely. We're seeing some very high-quality officials for some very high-quality soccer tonight, and that's exactly what all these spectators came out to see. Some high-quality players, high intensity, high emotions, and high-level officials maintaining order of the game. Springdale with that short pass. Jose Vega not letting Har-Ber clear the ball. We have Irving Sotero playing it back. Very, very quick speed of play and nice communication there. We have Nelson not letting Har-Ber get past. Springdale is doing a very, very good job of keeping Har-Ber in their defensive half. I haven't seen a single attack from Har-Ber yet, and we see Springdale continuously pushing that pressure.
But one thing I feel like we are going to have to mention that we've talked about in the last home game is that both of these teams are going to be needing to watch their offsides. I'm pretty sure Springdale's already 2-3 offsides, and Har-Ber has 1 or 2, and this is just something that
Quick
comes
play
with
here.
that intensity.
Irving Sotero setting it down to Jose Vega, not being able to get a touch on that. Har-Ber trying to get it upfield. Nelson sprinting back. Gilberto Razo with the clear upfield. Har-Ber heading it back, just trying to get Springdale into their defensive half. Gilberto heading it back to the keeper. Abram telling his players to relax, calm down, push up. Very, very nice composure and communication here. This is exactly what we'd like to see. Some high-quality teams communicating with each other, putting that 12th player on the field. Nelson Barroso there looking down the right side, seeing who his options are, sending it to the center, picked up by Har-Ber. Har-Ber here with a play that could be dangerous. Irving Sotero dropping back. Denny Maldonado intercepting that ball, stopping the play. Irving Sotero getting possession of that ball again, cutting very nicely, looking to see what his options are. Has Javier Solis in the back, playing to Gilberto Razo, playing it out wide. This is very, very high-quality soccer here, brought to you by Springdale. They're playing very composed, seeing who their options are. Dangerous play here, intercepted nicely. Gilberto Razo not letting any balls pass through, intercepting every ball that he can. Nelson looking at his options, dribbling nicely, seeing Javier not being able to get a ball on that, heading it back. Again, that's that high quality and composure that we're seeing Springdale do whenever they get a ball and they're under pressure. They play it back to where they feel that they can be safest.
And that's one thing that I feel like really attests to how well the Springdale side is playing right off the bat, is that they're not worrying. They're not getting any angst.
Joel with the big ball, sending over goal.
But just seeing them be able to stay really calm and collected, that's really attesting to how well they're playing so far.
And I think that's a clear reflection of what we were talking about earlier with Beeler telling his players that they need to just treat this like any other game, keep their head in the game, and focus on playing as a team and focus on how they want to present the work that they've been putting in for these past couple of months to everyone watching. And I feel like that's exactly what they're doing. They're realizing that this is just any other game and that they need to focus on playing soccer because that's what it's all about. Coming out here, the team who plays better soccer is typically the team who wins. So that's exactly what you need to focus on in games like these.
Definitely, I feel like we would see this play from any time that Springdale plays.
Jose Vega there with the shoulder-to-shoulder that seemed like a little bit too much for the center referee. Jose complaining, but we move on. One thing that we see Springdale doing very nicely is they're moving as a cohesive unit. We see all the defenders and midfielders moving back as one block, and the forwards pushing pressure on Har-Ber's defenders, so not allowing them to play any short passes, but still kind of being involved in the movement. And we have here a free kick for Springdale. Long ball there. Jose Vega getting a nice head on that, just not enough power and Har-Ber's goalkeeper picking it up with no problem. Again, we see Springdale Sylvester getting the first header on the ball. They're receiving a lot of those goal kicks. And we have a high kick here on Har-Ber for Springdale to give them a free kick.
And one thing that I'm really liking to see is the quality of goalkeepers. Both have seemed very calm and composed and just feel very comfortable and secure in their teams and their abilities.
We have Nelson Barroso will be taking this free kick. Seemed to be going for a center there, but just a little bit too low, and Har-Ber was able to intercept that with no problem.
But the ball will be going back to Springdale for a throw.
That's going to be out of bounds, giving Springdale a throw in. Jose Vega sliding to keep the ball in bounds very nicely. Irving playing to Nelson. Nelson playing out wide to Javi. Again, we see Springdale players are really aware of their surroundings and where their players are at. And that's really what is going to give you an advantage, in all honesty, when you can look where your players are at without having to turn your head. You just know where they're at, and it's really that chemistry that really has a huge part in that as well. When you know your players inside and out, you know where they're going to move, you know what they're thinking, and you can play the ball knowing that they're going to be there and being there to support you.
We'll have a goal kick for Har-Ber.
Sylvester playing it out wide to Danny Maldonado, who picks it up very nicely. Looking here, going to the center, playing a big shot just wide of the goal there. We see Springdale's looking to get that goal. They had Jose Vega opening up on that left side, but instead Danny took the shot instead and decided to do that, which kind of goes to show that Springdale's really looking to get that goal early on instead of passing it and trying to get that out of the way.
Yes, and as we were talking about with the girls' team, they're trying to play that diversity. They're trying to play a very diverse game, trying to not do the same thing over and over again just so that they can throw Har-Ber off.
We see Har-Ber coming there in attack, and Gilberto Razo doing very nicely in clearing that ball out of danger. Danny Maldonado picking up that ball, Har-Ber maintaining possession. That long ball, we have Jorge saving it nicely. This is just one of those games that once you tune in, you cannot take your eyes off of it. Things are moving very quickly. Your attention has to be on the game at all times. There's players that are moving very quickly. The speed of play is just incredible.
I know at some points I even forget that I'm commentating. I'm just so into the game. I'm just can't look away to even talk. I just have to be watching.
On one of the balls that got cleared out, we had Joel Guzman actually run into like that side fencing there, and it seemed to hurt his back a little bit, but he's doing fine. Jorge, they're getting a nice header, moving it upfield. Danny Maldonado playing it back to Javier. What a great ball from Javier, playing it deep. Joel Guzman trying to send it in. We have Renee trying to get a header on that, sent back in. Nelson Barroso looking to options, plays to Irving. Irving with a nice center, floated ball there. Jose playing it to Renee, and just taken off by Har-Ber's center back. One thing that really is helping Springdale out is Nelson Barroso there in the center midfielder. Anytime the ball gets sent out for a clearance, Nelson's usually able to pick it up and redistribute it back to his players. Either plays it out wide or he plays it back, but he is always sure to make contact first with the ball and play it back to his team.
Definitely, and I feel like that's kind of a reason why we see Springdale being able to stay on this side of the field is because they have those people in the back that are just distributing right back out so they can keep attacking.
Long ball there. Har-Ber trying to get that ball. Jorge intercepting that nicely with his chest. Irving Sotero now with the ball, playing it out wide to Danny Maldonado. Looking at his options there. We have a long pass there. We have Renee getting the ball and just being short of the ball. Har-Ber's goalkeeper picking it up. That was very close to being offsides, but Renee was able to run that line just perfectly, making it inbounds. We have Jorge hitting the ball backwards, giving Gilberto a hard time there, 1v1. I can tell you right now from experience, that's one of the worst positions you want to be in as a center back. You have to be very careful. You can't push too aggressively. Then it'll be a penalty. You can't not push at all because then they'll just run right past you. And that's one of the hardest positions to be in. You really have to be careful in those spots.
Yes, and definitely that was really the first attack we've seen from Har-Ber this entire game. And that was a very, very close attack that they had there. That could have easily been a goal if they wouldn't have had our center back there.
We have a center there for Har-Ber, and we have a foul.
It'll be free kick for Springdale.
But I'm looking to see who he can give it to, kind of letting his players spread out and push upfield. Danny Maldonado will be receiving the ball. You see that right there. He called back Jorge. Ooh, that's going to be studs up. That's going to be a card on number 11 for Har-Ber. That's a very dangerous play there. Whenever you're going for a 50-50 ball like that, you can't put your studs up and let the other player just kick the bottom of your cleats. That's going to be very dangerous, possibly a broken foot. Luckily, that did not happen here. He just got, Jorge just got the cleats, but he seems to be fine. And this is really when you start to see that frustration start kicking in. I mean, Springdale has been pushing very, very hard, making it very difficult for Har-Ber to really maintain possession of the ball at all. And it's on plays like those that you really have to be careful.
Definitely, and I feel like they just need to really just stay careful, and that was a little bit of a very dangerous foul and something that probably could have been prevented. They just need to be watching.
Danny Maldonado with the header sent out right past the goal. We have Har-Ber getting the ball there in the center. Springdale's defensive players having that great communication, talking to each other, stacking up, so when one goes to defend the ball, there's always someone behind him ready to help him out and be that supporting player. Jose Vega with a nice flick back, trying to get it to Danny Maldonado, but wasn't able to. See Nelson Barroso picking it up there, playing it out wide to Sylvester on that right side. Beeler telling him to look at that deep ball there. Sylvester listening and looking at that great pass. We have Jose Vega there in the center. The ball still up in the air, trying to get possession. Jose Vega almost getting possession of that ball. But now we have Springdale back. Nelson Barroso with 3 on him. Still maintaining possession. There we go. That's those aggressive tackles that we were expecting to see tonight. We see Nelson battling it out to try to keep possession of that ball. And then with that comes some aggressive tackles just like that right there.
And it's really nice to see, especially we saw it from Jose Vega, just those aggressive tackles, but nothing super aggressive, just going in for the ball and really just playing, trying to be in any way, violent towards the players, just trying to get that ball and going for it.
Absolutely aggressive but clean to try to get that ball. We have Ernie Sotero here in the center. We have Har-Ber 1 versus 3 defenders. We have Gilberto Razo pushing a lot of pressure on him, not letting it pass very easily. And we're going to have the assistant referee waving it, and the center referee telling him to play on.
Good ball there by the keeper.
Har-Ber now outnumbered, trying to get a long ball in, sending it out of bounds. Now what we're seeing is Har-Ber holding their own just a little bit better than they had started off the game. We're getting 2 substitutions for Har-Ber. Number 14 coming off, as well as number 24. Number 9 being substituted in.
Which I almost feel like Har-Ber came into this trying to just survey the situation and figure out, how hard is Springdale going to play, but then they weren't just able to they just took a little bit to get back into it and play to the level that Springdale's playing.
Jose Vega looking at his options, cutting nicely, not quite being able to complete the pass there.
It looks like a little bit of a miscommunication there between Jose Vega and his midfielder.
And just like you were saying, Claire, when Har-Ber started off the game, they were probably surveying to see what kind of opponent they're going to be playing against, what kind of style. But Springdale recognized that, and it could have proven to be a hard time for Har-Ber because they started off, Springdale started off really aggressively, and if Har-Ber wasn't too focused on being just as aggressive back and trying to maintain possession, they could have been a bad situation, but luckily they were able to hold off Springdale, and now they seem to be a little bit more evenly matched. Har-Ber playing it out wide nicely. Nelson coming back and defending wonderfully there. Played it out of bounds, but nonetheless stopping that rhythm, stopping that attack very nicely. That was a perfect example right there of how Springdale is defending on that throw-in. They threw it into their player, and we see 3 Springdale players right away put pressure on that player not to let the attack advance. Danny Maldonado with a slight touch there. Jose Vega looking to that cross in. We have Rene and keeper coming out. We have keeper just getting his foot off of it. Rene looking at his options, playing it to the center. Danny Maldonado. Irving Sotero there with the center.
That was some beautiful play there by Springdale, just not able to capitalize on that goal, on the goal attempt, but the passing and the just knowing and understanding and trusting each other was insane for that.
Absolutely, especially on that right side, we saw Joel really humping out with Rene there. Joel sliding to keep the ball inbound, and Rene picking it up as soon as Joel slides, and that's really that communication coming into play there. Joel knowing that maybe he won't be able to capitalize on the play, but giving Rene the opportunity to do that. Nelson there with a nice flick, but no problem there for Har-Ber's goalkeeper.
Just about at the 15-minute mark, about 15 minutes left in the game to see how this will play out, see if we can get a goal in before the half ends.
Irving Sotero trying to take that right side, setting it in, intercepted there from Har-Ber. Now Har-Ber's been doing that very, very well throughout this entire game, cutting off those passes last second, and just kind of getting that last touch that Springdale really needs, making it very difficult to do that.
Another attempt there for Springdale, but just out too wide.
A big punt there. Har-Ber getting the first header on that. Trying to play it back, barely keeping it in bounds, but keeping it. Very nice movement there off the hips. That's very, very good coordination there. We saw Gilberto Razo, the center back, push all the way up to about half field, but we see Sylvester pulling in his midfield on that right side and him taking his position. On the field now we have number 3 for Springdale, Jesus Aldaco. The substitution for Joel Guzman, I believe. Har-Ber there playing short. Jesus seeing it and sending it out of bounds. Very good recovery there. Long shot there from Har-Ber. Not quite on target.
And I feel like we're going to see that a lot from both teams, just both teams trying to just get something in the goal and trying their hardest and missing, but just trying and going for the goal.
Absolutely. We saw Springdale start off really aggressively trying to get that goal, and when they saw that that wasn't working out too much for them, they toned it down now, and now they're starting to play more with the ball, more passes, and a little bit more composed.
And I think that's a testament to how wonderful of a team the Springdale team is. They go out and try something, they know that that's not working, so they're going to switch it and try something different, and are still playing very, very well for that.
Absolutely, and kudos to Har-Ber in that beginning of the first half. They were able to hold off Springdale's very aggressive attack, which is very, very good, and it's definitely paying off now. Now that they're still 0-0, they're definitely being able to put more resistance on Springdale, and we really haven't seen too much of Springdale's attack. Jose Vega there with a nice coverage of the ball, looking at his options, playing to Javier. Javier couldn't get that turn. Long ball there, great communication. Abraham coming out and getting possession of that ball.
And one thing I really liked about him coming out, that goalkeeper, is the way he came out. He came out very strong and very secure in what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He got his knee up so that he protected himself and the ball, and he was just ready. And there's going to be a foul called on Springdale for a Har-Ber free kick.
Again, the same situation that we found ourselves with the girls' varsity game. Every opportunity that you get the ball, you really have to capitalize on. So Har-Ber with this free kick really has to try to get as much possession as they can. Har-Ber keeping the ball in bounds. Springdale not being able to kick it upfield. And Har-Ber now has a throw in Springdale's defensive half. Springdale again putting a lot of pressure, and we have a foul now on Springdale for Har-Ber. This is fairly close. This is definitely within shooting range for a skilled player, and Har-Ber definitely still has some talented players. They definitely have some great players. So if they can capitalize on this, it could mean trouble for Springdale. Looks like Springdale's going to be setting up a three-man wall. And we see there that Har-Ber actually has numbers, and Springdale really needs to communicate to all their players to drop back and really help and defend. Now they've figured the situation out, and every Springdale player has a Har-Ber player marked up, and that's going to be important.
And also we noticed
we see a little bit of pushing, actually. That ball's going to be sent just wide of the goal. definitely a quality kick, but just wasn't enough to get it into goal.
And one thing I noticed very interesting about the setup for that free kick was that they still had a player almost back on the 50. They're just wanting to make sure that Springdale isn't able to get that fast break.
Absolutely. They wanted to make sure that Springdale, because they know that they are quick, they wanted to make sure that Springdale wasn't able to get a counterattack and get a play off of that. Number 7 for Har-Ber, maintaining possession but being marked up by 2 Springdale players, getting lost there and getting it out of bounds.
And sometimes that's the...
Springdale there giving a throw into Har-Ber. Now Har-Ber with the counterattack, pushing very high. Jorge nicely measuring that ball and able to get it off and send it upfield.
And sometimes, you always hear you don't need to don't double team the ball, but sometimes it's necessary to do so. Like in that case, whenever they got that number 7 just kind of a little bit mixed up and were able to get him to kick it out of bounds.
Yeah, and especially with a team like Springdale who's able to accommodate for that. If they have 2 players marking a single attacking player from Har-Ber, they're able to adjust to that and really adjust their numbers in the back. Jose Vega there with the fake. Big ball upfield there. Claire, what are you seeing overall in this game that we're seeing from both teams? What kind of style and quality are we seeing?
I definitely think that we're seeing a very high-quality game from both sides. They both are playing very aggressively and quickly and just trying their hardest to get that goal. They're not playing too aggressively. They're not trying to play, and they're also not playing kickball. And I'm one person that I don't like whenever a team starts to play kickball, just kicking the ball back and forth. These teams have kept the ball on the ground and have passed and played really, really well.
I really couldn't agree more. Both these teams are bringing something special, and it's definitely showing. I mean, both teams are struggling to get the first goal. And we have a substitution that just got done. We have Donnie Maldonado coming off for Gabriel Guardado, taking his position on his left side. Gilberto Razo there doing wonderfully and headering the ball out of the danger zone. Long ball there from Springdale, allowing their team to push up. We have a great play here. We have Renee giving it to Jose out wide on the right side. Jose taking beautifully the ball on with 3 defenders, sending it to the midfield, not being able to find his player.
We're down to about 6 minutes left in this half. Just these teams just at the very last second seeing if they would be able to score just in those last couple minutes.
I think we're going to get a similar situation that we got with the varsity girls, where we might be finishing this first half tied 0-0, and a battle in the second half against not only the clock but also other players. Substitution for Har-Ber. We have 7 coming off. And we're going to have another throw in for Springdale. Nelson with a nice cut there, giving himself a little bit more time to find the pass. He decided to try to get a shot on, just a little off target there. Just a little over 5 minutes here in the first half, and we're still 0-0 from both teams. Nelson Barroso looking at that right side, recognizing Joel is open. Joel sending the ball. Oh, Jose wasn't able to get possession of the ball, but he definitely was looking forward to receiving that ball. and that's going to be a foul for sure. Referee sees no necessity for pulling out the yellow card, but does talk to the Har-Ber player and lets him know that to maintain the sportsmanship and just continue playing the game.
You know, we were talking about this. The emotions are probably going to start running high towards the end of this half, into the second half, because they just want to win against their hometown rivals. So that probably could have been a little bit of just wanting to, you know, try their best to get the ball down to their side.
And we have a foul there for Har-Ber. Har-Ber definitely looking for that long play off of that kick there. Players having a hard time keeping it on the ground and getting possession. Har-Ber with the header there. Gilberto Rasso swinging and missing. 17. Trying to get a shot on. Abraham Cordero wonderfully coming out, seeing where that ball was going to go and blocking it. We saw Gilberto Rasso miss the ball there, and we saw his right back actually come back and try to support him there, which is something that makes me really happy to see, especially as a defender, knowing that they have that reliance on each other, that they can know that there's someone always there to help them out.
Yes, and as a goalkeeper, I can say that that was a wonderful move by the Springdale goalkeeper, just reading that and just going out after it and not worrying about if he's going to get kicked or if he gets the ball. He's just going out and is ready.
That's one thing we definitely see reflected in both teams, both varsity boys and varsity girls, players who are willing to just risk it, come out, and do whatever they have to do to really be there for their team and just defend the goal. We have a yellow card there on Irving Sotero.
Just coming and flipping that Har-Ber player a little bit.
Yeah, he wasn't able to really stop himself in his tracks, but nonetheless made some pretty hard contact there, and referee decided it was enough to award a yellow card. We have Danny Maldonado coming back onto the pitch. Danny with a good clearance up the field. We have Renee chasing that ball down. And Har-Ber being forced to play it out of bounds because of that pressure.
We're down to 2 minutes left in the first half.
Nelson playing it. Danny Maldonado coming back, playing it back to Springdale's left back, Jorge. Who plays it back to the center to Nelson, who gets a head on it but isn't able to maintain possession. Nelson, in the midst of two Har-Ber players, was able to shield the ball wonderfully, giving his team center referee overturns the ball and gives it to Har-Ber, says he saw something different. Har-Ber with the short throw and with the big ball upfield. We have a push from behind. Another yellow card there.
I believe that's on number 10 for Har-Ber.
That's what it looks like to me.
And this is in a very dangerous area. Springdale has really powerful kicks, and this could definitely be that last attacking moment, or maybe the last of many little attacking moments.
Springdale just having just a minute, seeing what they can create out of this play. We have Jorge looking for that big ball in. Just a little bit too far there. Har-Ber's goalkeeper picking it up with no problem. Playing it very quickly. Looks like Har-Ber's trying to get any attack that they can get on this last ball here. Nelson looking for that ball. Danny Maldonado looking at his options. This could be the last attack. We have Jose Vega turning the ball, taking a good shot there. And that's going to be the first goal for Springdale. Springdale is up 1-0. Jose Vega, the captain, the guy who came back after a week of the flu, and he scores another one against this crosstown rival.
That was a beautiful goal by Jose Vega. Just the way that he played it and the goalkeeper just barely missed it there. It was beautifully placed and beautifully timed. It was a wonderful goal by Jose Vega.
It could have not come at any better time in the last 30 seconds about of the first half. Jose Vega comes in, scores a wonderful goal, and puts Springdale ahead 1-0. Tenemos a Springdale arriba en el marcador 1-0, gol de Jose Vega en los últimos 30 segundos del primer tiempo.
And that's going to be wonderful going into halftime, one up for the Springdale side. They're going to be able to talk and figure out what their attacking plan is next. Are they going to try to keep attacking, get more goals, or are they going to stay back and play more defensively?
I mean, especially now with the last 30 seconds of the game, this is going to give Springdale a slight edge here, not only being up 1-0 on the scoreboard, but also not allowing Har-Ber to kind of immediately come back to that. They're going to have to cut it off at halftime and come back to that. So we are finished with the first half of this great, very exciting, very emotional, very intense game with the goal by Jose Vega in the last 30 seconds of the game. Terminamos este primer tiempo de este partido con Springdale arriba en el marcador 1-0, gol de Jose Vega en los últimos 30 segundos. We'll be right back, ready into the second half.
I came to the clinic during school, and when I got here, they were very thoughtful and friendly to me, and they took very good care of me.
We provide a full variety of primary care services, preventative, acute care, chronic care for adults and children.
It's been very convenient for me because I haven't had to leave school and go make an appointment.
If your student gets sick, you could send them over to one of the wellness centers rather than having to take off of work.
It's kind of hard sometimes to get out of the work. It's just good that they have like a school-based clinic, because like that, if a child is sick, they could just come over here without the parent coming in.
Anybody can come to the clinic.
Our motto is healthy people, healthy community, and we thought what better way to help improve the health of our community than by starting in our schools.
For over 20 years, Community Clinic has served Washington County with quality and affordable health care. With 3 wellness centers in Springdale, located at Jones, George, and Elmdale Elementary, our services include primary care, pediatrics, prenatal, behavioral health, and physical therapy. We offer services in English, Spanish, and Marshallese so that we can help your family. The Community Clinic, healthy people, healthy community.
Springdale Public Schools are connecting students to
student achievement,
Safety. Personalized teaching.
partnerships.
At Springdale Public Schools, we're given every opportunity to succeed because we are #the choice for
education,
athletics,
music,
Athletics in Springdale has been producing winners since 1910. Our coaches do a tremendous job connecting our students to our schools. We are one community.
I really like to work on one class for a whole day, which I have the flexibility to do.
So as we were looking at all the various programs, we looked at several different programs, but the one that we were most excited about was the School of Innovation's virtual school, because it seemed to have a good balance of it being well organized with a good pace, but at the same time allowing for some flexibility to work with our own schedule, and then also allow our kids to be interested in other things as well.
Well, I'm able to help my parents and their company.
So she's helping us to figure out who gets what and put them in the boxes and take them and weigh them and shipping. And So she got to see and be involved in that whole process along the way of what it looks like to try to start a business, which was really fun for her.
So my parents and we own a company called Chica. It's a company that inspires girls, and we try to really help girls build up their inner strength. We have super cool apparel and events.
Unless she's testing, she can walk away from the middle of her math lesson and come in and see what we have going on.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things.
We started homeschooling about, 3 years ago. Right now there's so much available in terms of homeschooling that it's a little bit overwhelming.
So I started homeschooling in the 5th grade, and we were doing club soccer, so we were traveling.
I first became interested in the Don Tyson School of Innovation, just what they were doing, and was fascinated by their approach. So I went and studied their website and saw that they had a virtual school.
It's really flexible and enables me to do all sorts of different things. And then also being able to contact teachers if I have questions that my parents can't deal with.
She really loves science, and she was moving so fast that they were able to actually move her up a grade. But then her math, she was kind of struggling with that a little bit, so we were able to try and tweak the program to fit where her needs were.
I'd love to go and play college soccer. I'd love to go as high up as I can in the soccer world. But I think ultimately I'd love to work for NASA, either as an astronomer or as some kind of engineer to help colonize different planets.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation in the Springdale Schools now offers middle-level courses. If you are entering 6th or 7th grade, you can enroll now at the School of Innovation.
School of Innovation offers complete options for an advanced placement program. Students can take classes at an accelerated pace to complete high school with time for other opportunities. Students can attend high school and earn an associate's degree at the same time. At the School of Innovation, you can also earn certifications that are recognized in business and industry.
In 7th grade, academic programs include STEM instruction in math and science, humanities instruction in English language, arts, and social studies, Spanish immersion for non-native speakers, Spanish for native speakers with culture and communication connection. Program of studies include East, engineering, robotics, drones, urban agriculture, medical arts, computer science, visual arts, and theater. If you're interested in applying to the School of Innovation, go to soi.sdel.org for more information and how to enroll.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus is a new opportunity for grades 6 through 12 to receive a Springdale Schools education anytime, any place. With the blended model, virtual campus students have full access to the Don Tyson School of Innovation campus during school hours for electives, clubs, tutoring, and activities.
The virtual campus is my education on my time.
The Don Tyson School of Innovation Virtual Campus. Anytime, any place.
I think Springdale Schools is a great place to teach. They have cared about my salary. They have cared about my time. Administration is awesome. They want to be there for the kids. I mean, they are #1 priority.
The staff, teachers, everyone's very, very nice, very polite, and very welcoming. It really feels like a family.
It's always good when you have a diverse population like Springdale for kids in the classroom to see people that look like them. So it gives them a role model.
I always say if I had somebody like me in kindergarten that could speak both of the languages, that would be tons of help.
We go out of our way to provide everything that we can so that their children can get a wonderful education, because they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Northwest Arkansas, it's growing. That's one of the great things.
I am originally from San Antonio, and I cannot tell you, this is a wonderful place to raise your children.
It's just a great place to live, to work, and just to have fun.
Follow Springdale Public Schools on all social media platforms. On Facebook and Twitter, you can find up-to-date information about events, school closures, and student and faculty achievements. Instagram provides weekly highlights and major news. YouTube is the home for sports live streams, district news, student productions, school board meetings, and live performances. Connect to Springdale Public Schools for pictures, videos, news, events, and more.
we are just about a minute away from starting the second half here. We are currently Springdale up 1-0 in the last 30 seconds from Jose Vega. And it couldn't have been a more perfectly timed goal. I mean, we can definitely expect to see a lot more intensity now that Har-Ber has to score one to get even and get that equalizer against Springdale.
Definitely, and I feel like that's definitely what their coach is telling them, is just play with the same intensity you were playing before and just go after it.
Now, one thing that playing soccer for many years that you can expect to see now, especially going into a second half, being down 1-0, is you can expect to see Har-Ber pushing up, being a lot more assertive in their plays and attacks, and they're going to, in result of doing that, they're going to spread out their players, they're going to spread out their team, and that's going to exploit a lot of holes that if Springdale is careful, they can watch for those, and it's going to be pretty difficult for Har-Ber to not only try to score, but also defend Springdale, trying to get more.
Definitely, I feel like Springdale, now they've got that one goal, they're ready to play. They've got their one goal. They're going to keep playing as hard as they can, and they're going to try their hardest. I don't feel like Springdale's a team to start playing defensively after getting one goal. They're going to want to make sure that they are up by 2 or 3 goals before they start letting off.
Yeah, and just like the last game, Springdale has to realize that while a 1-0 lead is a lead, it can be lost very easily. They have to be on their toes and not let any mistakes slip by. They have to be very careful of that. And with that, we start our second half.
Once again, we see Springdale and Har-Ber both coming out very aggressively and ready to play.
Irving Sotero there playing very comfortable with his defender.
Ooh,
nice fake there from Sylvester. Playing it to Irving. Irving playing it back to Nelson. He's going to look up field, see what his options are. Playing it there to Jose Vega. Jose Vega losing possession there. Har-Ber sending a big ball. Jorge playing it back to Nelson. Nelson getting pressure, being comfortable and looking at his options. Jorge switching the ball across the field. Sylvester playing a dangerous ball there to Irving. Irving still getting out of it though. Looking, Jose playing to Irving. Back to Jose. Jose cutting, looking for an option to shoot. Getting a shot, but being blocked very nicely there from Har-Ber.
A really wonderful job there by the Har-Ber defense to stop that play from the Springdale offense.
Absolutely, especially with a dangerous player like Jose Vega. And that's a nice flick there from Rene, who was setting himself up to get a shot, but Har-Ber's goalkeeper came out and stopped it just in time.
Once again, we see those goalkeepers just knowing when and where to come out.
Comenzamos el segundo tiempo de este partido con Springdale arriba en el marcador. René con el tiro. Irving Sotero trying to get another shot. Another shot in. Ooh, very close shot there. The goalkeeper for Har-Ber getting his hands on it, getting it to hit the post, but that was a very, very nice play there.
Definitely, that was a really good play by the Springdale offense, but also by the goalkeeper as well, to be able to get down on the ground quick and get his hands on it just at the very last second. And we're going to have a corner kick for Springdale.
Nelson Barroso taking the corner. Springdale rushing into the box. We have Rene trying to get a shot, and we have another corner kick here for Springdale. Y comenzamos el partido en el segundo tiempo con Springdale arriba en el marcador 1-0 contra Har-Ber. Y el gol de José Vega en los últimos 30 segundos del primer tiempo. Eso fue un gol muy importante y ahorita tenemos a Springdale con otro tiro de esquina. We have Springdale here centering the ball, trying to look for it. Nobody's able to get a touch on that ball comfortably. Sending it out of bounds, giving Har-Ber the throw-in.
Once again, I feel like these set pieces are going to be very, very critical in the second half. A lot of times, you know, those set pieces can make or break a team. If you don't play very well defensively on a set piece and allow a goal, or if you are able to break through and score a goal on a set piece, these are going to be very critical the second half. And that's going to go out for a Springdale throw.
And again, just a very quick, brief recap of who we have on the field. We have for Springdale, their goalie, Abraham Cordero. We have center back for Springdale, Gilberto Razo. We have left back, Jorge Avalos. We have right back, we have Sylvester Martinez. We have in the midfield, we have Irving Sotero. We have Javier Solis, Nelson Barroso. On the offensive, we have Jose Vega, we have René Racinos, Springdale looking for another attack. And also on the right side for Springdale, we have Joel Guzman. Danny Maldonado also on that left midfield position. Springdale here with another corner kick. We have service there into the box. Har-Ber able to get it out, but Irving Sotero picking it up, playing it back to Springdale's left back, Jorge, who's looking to see what his options are. Plays it to the middle with Javier Solis, picking it up, playing it back to Sylvester. We see Springdale really not in too much of a rush to get on the offensive. They're really looking to maintain possession before they push up. Jose Vega setting himself up for a shot, but picked up off of his chest by a Har-Ber player.
One thing that really kind of comes from the fact that Springdale isn't just trying super hard to get that second goal is that they're making sure that they keep the ball and keep the possession of the ball, because once you start trying to make shots over and over again, Har-Ber's going to be able to pick that ball up easier and easier. So now that they're just passing the ball around and just really trying to make plays instead of just trying to shoot, it makes it harder for Har-Ber to be able to pick up the ball.
I agree. And one thing that we just saw right now, it's part of the beautiful game, is we saw on this foul here that Har-Ber's taking the free kick on. Danny Maldonado helping number 18 for Har-Ber get up and kind of helping each other out. That's really what we like to see. We like to see some intense play, really emotional, but also just being supportive of each other and just players helping each other out.
Definitely.
Long ball there from Har-Ber, intercepted nicely by Jorge, who's able to cut very nicely, maintaining great possession of the ball. Har-Ber here on the attack, looking to see what their options are. Jorge shielding the ball nicely. They're not being able to keep it out of bounds, so playing it down the center. Gilberto kicks it up. Nelson picking it up, playing it to Jose Vega. Jose Vega sees his options. Down the middle, on the left side. Referee says play on, nothing. We see Joel Guzman coming back and not being able to defend that ball, but we see Javier Solis coming back, defending it. Har-Ber maintaining great possession of that ball. Gilberto Razo sliding. Joel getting a good clear up the ball. Joel Guzman really giving his team what he needed.
Once again, we see Springdale just playing very composed and just trying to just pass the ball around and not worrying too much about trying to get the ball up offensively.
Especially on the on their defensive side, we see them not just sending long balls and not trying to force an attack or force something to happen. They really try to play it in the back, in the midfield, pass around the ball a little bit and see what can come of that.
Which obviously sometimes can throw off other teams, you know, because a lot of times teams are ready for those long balls that come in and for them to be playing very aggressively. But if they just kind of stay back and just pass it around, sometimes that really throws off another team.
Especially in their positioning, we see that Springdale is kind of playing it back, and then Har-Ber has to push up to try to get that ball. Jose Vega here cutting, no mark, takes a shot, and another goal by Jose Vega.
Incredible, really.
that just goes to show the amazing quality of players that Springdale has. Their captain, Jose Vega, is a captain for a reason. He's a quality player. He always, with his players, he's talking to them, trying to support them, and he's definitely a huge, huge asset to his team. Tenemos otro gol de Jose Vega, poniendo Springdale arriba en el marcador 2-0 sobre Har-Ber.
And once again, that was a very similar goal to his first goal, just being able to get that right past the goalkeeper, or just barely being able to get it past, but still being able to get it past nonetheless.
One thing that we see really with Jose is whenever he's in that final touches, right before he gets a shot in, he is so calm. He has a touch. He's looking exactly where he wants to put the ball, and that's exactly what he does. He gets a shot, and he puts it right where he wants it.
And sometimes whenever he's about to shoot, it almost feels like there's no defenders around him. He just knows how to get past the defenders so easily, and just the skill level that he has is absolutely insane.
I mean, we have 2 players for Springdale that I know of that are assigned to college, and it's still great to see that they're bringing their quality. They're not settling just because they already know they're going to college. Those players would be Nelson Barroso and Jose Vega, very obviously high-quality players. And Jose Vega still is bringing that magic, still bringing that skill and intensity. Even though he knows where he's going to go after high school, he still wants to keep on pushing and do the best that he can for his team, especially considering that it's his senior year.
Definitely. I feel like that's just one big thing about it is, like, this is the senior year. This is the time to make or break it. If you want to do something, you got to do it now.
Now what we're really going to have to see here is Har-Ber having to push up and try to get some goals in, and that's really going to open them up and expose some of their spots that Springdale is going to be able to exploit and maybe get more goals in.
And also another thing that Har-Ber's going to have to remember is to keep that composure. We've talked about composure all night, and they are down 2-0, but they still are going to have to play and just stay very calm and not give up dumb fouls and just play and get the ball down the field.
Yes, Har-Ber definitely still has 30 minutes to play, and if they keep their head in the game, they can definitely do it. They have great talent, great skill, and this is no time for Springdale to put their guard down. They still need to be focusing on playing the best game they can play. Like right now we have Har-Ber on the attack.
A punt past half.
Har-Ber now, maybe with an opportunity to play, they send a long ball upfield. Hidroelto Razo measuring it wonderfully, again making that executive decision to just clear it upfield and give his team an opportunity to come.
But Har-Ber's definitely going to try to play fast and quick out of those positions that they have there just to try to catch Springdale off guard.
And the 2 schools that Nelson Barroso and Jose Vega will be going to are Neosho and Crowder. So definitely some good quality teams, and they're definitely going to be picking up some great quality players.
I feel like it's really great to see whenever you get to see teams going on and following in the soccer path even after high school ends. And a lot of times it's a lot harder for boys to find schools that have soccer because of, the idea that boys and girls sports have to be equal. And a lot of times that football is going to make it to where you can't have soccer for boys. So it's really nice to see these guys finding schools that appreciate their talents and also their academics so that they're able to go to college and keep playing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it gets better than playing the sport you love and that you obviously have some talent for, and pursuing your academic career there as well. And that's what we're seeing these 2 players do, and it really does make me happy to see players really continuing on, and both academically and physically.
It's going to be a turnover, and it's going to be Har-Ber ball.
This is really where we have to start seeing Har-Ber pushing to try to get a goal here. That's a flick that Danny Maldonado is going to pick up. Not quite able to get a clear touch on that.
One thing that I really like about both sides is that the intensity has not gone down any. They're both playing still very intensely, and even though Springdale's up 2-0, they're not stepping back any, and even though Har-Ber is down 2-0, they're not going to try to step back any as well. They're just all really playing smart and playing hard.
Yeah, we have a free kick now for Har-Ber, and again, they definitely still have some time, but as soon as they can get a goal is ideal for Har-Ber. Har-Ber there getting possession of the ball, but not being able to get control of the ball and able to get a shot. It's going to give Springdale a goal kick.
But that was a dangerous ball in a very dangerous spot. Just Har-Ber wasn't able to score on that attempt.
Especially in these last 26 minutes, it's going to be crucial, especially for Har-Ber to really capitalize on any opportunity they can get. They're down 2 goals, so they have to get score 2 just to be on the same playing field, really, and then they can really focus on getting more after that. Har-Ber there with a long shot. Abraham Cordero, again, calm, composed, and ready to just pick up that ball with no problem at all.
And sometimes being like that as a goalkeeper makes your play even better. You just have to know and trust in yourself and your ability to, catch the ball, then just not worry about it and just be ready to catch.
We have Har-Ber here running down. Great header there. Pass back to Springdale's goalkeeper. And again, we see that great sportsmanship there with Abraham patting Har-Ber's forward there. They're just that great camaraderie, letting them know that, it was a great run. And that's really what, again, makes this sport just that much better.
It's really nice to see, even though this is a huge hometown rivalry, that we still are going to be friendly with each other and be very sportsmanlike with each other.
Of course, despite the assertiveness that we're going to be seeing in the game, they still keep that respectfulness and responsibility, really, that they have to be focused on the game and worry more about playing the game than being too aggressive or too violent with each other. It's really a responsibility, almost, I would say. So, Claire, from that shot that we saw Har-Ber take, that was a very nice shot, and it could have been dangerous for Springdale. How, as a goalkeeper, did you process that whenever you realized you were getting those shots?
Well, the first thing you had to do was just really be able to read body language. You had to be able to see, this person's going to shoot. They're not trying to pass or something like that. They are going for the shot. And then you really had to break down and figure out, am I going to run at them and try to stop them that way, or am I actually going to stay back and just wait? And I feel like he made the right decision there, because they could have gone, because the way that was going, if he would have come out, that could have gone right over his head, or the person or the shooter would have been able to adjust to shoot correctly. So you just get ready, put your hands there, and just have them out and ready, and just be ready to move wherever the ball may have gone if he would have tried to not go as straight on as he did.
We saw a free kick for Springdale that was going to be shot out of bounds. Har-Ber now doing some substitutions, getting ready to do this goal kick. Nelson Barroso getting the ball. We see Jose Vega there tying his shoes, not being able to, get possession of that ball, but he's back in and ready to go. Again, there's still plenty of time for Har-Ber to get those 2 goals in, and we have a bump or something from the back, and Har-Ber's number 11 is on the ground looking injured. Referee's going to ask for a time stoppage while make sure the players are okay. Referee doesn't see the need to pull out a card, but he does award the foul.
It definitely looks like number 11 did want to get off the field because he is definitely injured, and they're going to have their trainer coming out to see what's wrong. And then it looks like he's going to be okay, and the trainer's going to have to run back. I can actually understand that mindset of being
getting nicked here and there, and hurting, but you have to realize that you just have to continue to play on, and especially in moments like these when your team is down 2-0. Har-Ber there, cleared up field by Danny Maldonado. Jose Vega looking to pass to Irving Sotero. Irving Sotero cutting back, playing back to his center back, Gilberto Razo. Plays back to Sylvester. Nice cut there from Sylvester, keeping possession of the ball. Nelson running with the ball, player on his back, coming at him very, very quickly. Joel Guzman trying to keep possession there with Rene, not doing so successfully. You have Sylvester there, very nice and composed, especially that far back. Not to cause a foul, but still trying to get possession of that ball.
This will be Har-Ber ball.
We definitely see a lot more body contact there, especially with number 22, Max Pena, I believe, for Har-Ber on those throw-ins. Number 7 for Har-Ber, cutting very nicely. Gilberto Razo getting his foot out there, perfect timing, stopping that play. Number 7 with a nice cut, though, trying to get an attack on Springdale.
And that was also really good defending there, just getting his leg out and getting to the ball so that he wouldn't get the foul for tripping the player, but that was just really wonderful defending.
I played with Gilberto Razo for 2 years, I believe, and let me tell you, it's very hard to get past that guy, especially 1v1. He has a great reaction, and he's a great player. And it definitely shows now, especially with that attack right there. Number 7 for Har-Ber was really struggling to get past him, and he just came in there and got it off of his feet perfectly. Max Pena getting a header on that. Picked up by Javier Solis, who plays it back to Joel Guzman. Irving Sotero there with plenty of time and space to turn around there with players on his back, looking to see who he can pass to. Nelson Barroso trying to get it to Jose Vega, not doing so. We have a foul now on Har-Ber for Springdale.
And definitely, like you were talking about earlier, the exploitation of the holes that the team is creating. We saw that right there. He just was able to dribble right up and try to get that ball up into the 18-yard box just without anybody on him.
That's exactly what we exactly what we were expecting to be seeing. That once Har-Ber is pushing up, they're going to have spots that are exploited, and Irving Sotero recognized that, was able to turn just fine and put an attack on Har-Ber. Now we have 4 great free kick takers here, all lined up for the ball. Kind of confusing Har-Ber on what's going to happen. We have Javier Solis, Danny Maldonado, Nelson Barroso. Right to the wall, Har-Ber's wall, stopping that very nicely. Going to be a throw-in for Springdale.
And definitely as a goalkeeper, I know that would have definitely confused me, looking at 4 different players all lined up the exact same way, ready to take the shot.
Absolutely. Part of this game is more than just what you do physically, but also the mental aspect you bring into that. Whenever you don't let the other team know what your next move is going to be or how you're going to do a specific play, it really can give you an advantage because they don't know how to prepare or how to defend the play you're actually doing.
Especially from a goalkeeper's perspective, as I was talking about earlier, you have to know you have to learn the body language of a player that's about to shoot versus a player that's going to pass versus a player that's going to do something else. You just have to know that and be able to read that.
And I can speak from experience again that especially when it gets down to the tens of minutes that you have left, it really starts to affect you mentally. Also, you're thinking, gosh, I have to fight against the time, really kind of step it up just that much more, especially whenever you're playing a good team like Springdale. You're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted, and you still have to just give that extra to really not only beat out their opponent, but also the time.
We're just at about 18 minutes now, and it's still a lot of time for Har-Ber to be able to make something and get those 2 goals and maybe even one more.
Har-Ber starting to move up on the attack now, and they're pushing a lot of numbers up top. Jorge trying to shield that ball wonderfully, and doing so greatly, now giving his team the goal kick. Springdale pushing up their lines, including their defensive line, pretty far up. They're looking to really stack up the center of the field, trying to get possession, really is what it looks like they're trying to focus on. Har-Ber sending that ball upfield. Sylvester trying to take control of that, flicking Max Pena very nicely to maintain possession. Har-Ber now on the attack, sending a long ball. Again, that's kind of goes to show the pressure that these Har-Ber players are feeling, the time constraint, and also the great defensive players that Springdale has. I mean, sometimes you just feel compelled to shoot it from that far out because it's going to be hard to not only get past the defensive side, but also to get another one just to be equal.
Yeah, and even, if that ball would have been on target, sometimes players just aren't prepared for that. So that might have been a really good opportunity to score a goal if it would have been more on target.
We're definitely seeing Har-Ber getting a little bit more offensive. We have a foul there.
It looked like that was possibly an elbow to the back of Jose Vega's head.
Javier Solis lifting up his teammate. Captain helping another captain out. And Jose Vega definitely still feeling a little bit rumbled from that elbow to the back of the head. But he says play on. Referee doesn't see any bad intention and doesn't award any yellow cards. Danny Maldonado getting possession of the ball there. Irving Soto trying to play it out wide to Nelson, but just a little bit too wide. Joel Guzman coming back to try to defend that ball. Looks like we're going to have a substitution here for Har-Ber. 13 coming off, 7 coming off, and 24 coming off.
The Har-Ber coach is just trying to see if he can put in different players and try out different things to see if he can possibly get a goal on this Springdale side.
Yeah, he's really trying to put some players in some different positions, see what he can get working out, especially now that there's just over 14 minutes left. Time's starting to really be on the mind of the Har-Ber team.
That's going to be a foul on Har-Ber, so this is going to be Springdale free kick.
Long ball there from Sylvester. Har-Ber's number 4 getting good hit. Jose sending it out wide, giving Har-Ber a goal kick.
And I really like the fact that Springdale is really staying on that last defender till the very last second. You saw Jose Vega right there ready to attack and be head-to-head with him and just go off after the ball.
Har-Ber's defender there, number 4, I believe, Brandon Rubalcaba, is really trying to anticipate those balls, especially received by Renee and Jose Vega. He's trying to give them a hard time to win those balls in the air. We're going to have a free kick now for Har-Ber. Pretty far out. I don't expect to see a shot, obviously, but maybe a center here. We have Gilberto Razo getting the first one to get ahead on that ball, sending it out of bounds.
But that was a really wonderfully done free kick. It went really, really well. It went to a really beautiful position. There just wasn't anyone there to capitalize on it.
Absolutely, but either way, now we have a throw-in for Har-Ber in Springdale's defensive half. Urban Sotero just trying to get that ball out of there any way he can. Maintaining possession, Jose Vega, again with that speed, looking at his players, passing it out wide to Nelson Barroso, who's trying to reach to that ball, gets there, looks at his options, see who he's trying to pass it to, gives it to Renee. Renee cutting, seeing who he can give it to.
And the speed that this Springdale side has is insane. You just saw Nelson just running as hard as he could to get to that ball and getting there. It's just crazy.
We have Bernardo Rubalcaba there for Har-Ber, getting the ball out of there with his face, which is, again, a testament to how much these players really want to be defending their goal. They'll do anything they can to try to get that ball out of there. And now we have Springdale with the corner kick.
And that just really shows how much they love this game, not just the fact that they want their team, they don't want that team to score, just how much they love the game. They're going to sacrifice their face or their bodies just to make sure that they, win the game.
Gilberto Razo coming all the way up from center back, getting contact with that corner kick, but just wasn't enough to get much of anything from it. Dropping back again to get the punt from the goalkeeper, Danny Maldonado on that left side, giving a pass with the outside of his foot to Renee, who just wasn't able to get it. The defender slid and got that ball off of his feet, very nice, but a great pass there from Danny Maldonado with the outside of his right foot. Jose Vega with a great turn. Hard player there anticipated that ball. Nelson here. Cutting to look to see who his options are. Just a little bit too far wide there for Renee.
Another thing I really like about the Springdale team is the fact that they aren't just going to shoot. They are really going to try to make sure that they are making good opportunities to shoot, like we saw there with number 7 for Springdale. We saw that he had an opportunity to shoot, but he knew that there were so many defenders around him, so he decided to dribble it out and pass it to someone else.
We get substitution for Har-Ber, 22, Max Pena coming off, and number 11 taking his spot there. Abram getting control with his foot, with a big clearance upfield. Joel Guzman trying to get a flick off of that ball, wasn't able to. Har-Ber now with a throw-in. Javier Solis with a good anticipation, just wasn't enough to get it off. We have the referee marking a handball on Nelson Barroso. It wasn't intentional, no need for a yellow card, but still got his hands in there. And now we'll have a free kick for Har-Ber. With only 10 minutes left in the game, we really, really want to see Har-Ber try to capitalize on any opportunity they can get. And this is going to be one of those important opportunities. We see Jose Vega helping set up the wall there from behind the free kick. Really commanding, letting his players know. Again, that communication is key. Great shot there. Great goal there. Number 11 for Har-Ber with the long free kick. That ball was opening up, but wasn't able to reach it. And Har-Ber is now 2-1. Tenemos un gol de tiro libre de Har-Ber, número 11. Para poner Har-Ber 2-1 bajo en el marcador contra Springdale.
Springdale's definitely going to have to work a lot harder here because I know you've probably heard this from Coach Beeler and from other coaches as well. The 2-1 lead is the hardest lead to keep because you feel safe in that one goal, but then they're just one goal behind you. It's going to be super easy for them to bring it up 2-2. You just have to fight as hard as you can.
We have Orin Totero coming off, and taking his place would be Ruben Ayala. We have a long ball from Javier Solis. Jose Vega trying to get possession of that ball. And again, Claire, just like you were saying, this is one of the scariest leads to have because Har-Ber really has their emotions up. They're ready. They're motivated now that they have a goal. They're just one away from tying. And Springdale really has to be careful about that because it's in these last 9 minutes that things can really start to change and shift, and these teams have to adapt to that.
I mean, you and me were both talking about the importance of those free kicks, and Har-Ber just showed how important those free kicks are.
Absolutely. Right before the free kick was taken, we were talking about how they really needed to capitalize on every opportunity they got, and that's exactly what Har-Ber did. And now it's paying off for them. Now they have that extra little bit of motivation they need. Long ball there from Har-Ber. Sylvester measuring that ball, guarding it, and it goes out of bounds. Again, we can see it right away, that effect that goal had. Har-Ber's now sending every ball they can. They're pushing so aggressively, and it's really showing how much just that one goal makes a difference in this game.
Definitely, and like we've been talking about this entire night, soccer really is a mental game. So just them having that one extra point, that's really showing, putting in their head like, hey, we're not out of this game yet.
Absolutely, and really what it comes down to is how Springdale is able to manage that. If they're able to recognize that Har-Ber is now just a play away from tying this game. If they let their guard down, that could mean trouble. But if they really keep it up and they're able to manage with Har-Ber's extra aggressiveness in these last few minutes, then that's really what it's going to come down to. Har-Ber on the attack again. That extra motivation really pushes the team to try to get that last goal. Jose Vega there with the wonderful control of the ball. Player wasn't able to get it off of him. With a very aggressive slide there. Referee checking on Jose Vega, but does not call the foul.
He's slowly getting up.
Jose Vega's back on his feet, but it definitely was a very hard tackle, but nonetheless wasn't a foul, and referee says play on. It will be a
free kick for Springdale.
No, it will be a throw-in. Again, referee did not see Jose Vega's slide tackle as a foul, so he's just going to call it a throw-in. Springdale really has to keep composed in these just last few minutes. Javier Solis trying to back-heel the ball there in the middle. Gilberto Razo cutting off that pass wonderfully. Long shot there from Har-Ber.
Looks like Springdale player cramping on the 30-yard line.
Referee being forced to stoppage time for a player being down, and it definitely looks like a cramp. Again, I completely understand why these players are getting cramps. I mean, no matter how hard they're working and practicing to stay in shape, they definitely are working very hard in this game specifically, and their muscles just really start to wear down.
But it looks like he's going to get up and be ready to play.
Jorge, Springdale's left back there, having to come off with the trainers, but he is on his feet walking on his own. With just right under 7 minutes left in the game, Springdale really has to hold it together, try to keep this lead, and Har-Ber is going to just continuously push in every opportunity they can get. You definitely see a lot of players that were playing a little bit more offensively start to drop off to help defend. It looks like a collision there, stoppage time. We have a collision. Har-Ber's player looks like he got hit in the head with another collision there for the header. Number 18 for Har-Ber. Looks like he's going to play on. Referee awards a free kick. Well, it's going to be more of a sportsman kind of play where the Har-Ber player is just going to kick it back to Springdale's goalkeeper just to get keep the play rolling.
And play is started up again.
Abraham Cordero just sending the ball as high as he can just to kind of give his team the opportunity to just keep the ball away from.
Looks like in these last few minutes it's getting more and more aggressive.
Referee stopping time to, I believe, award a free kick for Har-Ber. With just 6 minutes left in the game, it really comes down to these plays that are really important. I mean, we saw Har-Ber capitalize on one of their most crucial free kicks, and they could be taking advantage of another one right here again. Springdale really has to tighten up on defending. Great center there. Springdale being the first. A swing and a miss from Joel Guzman. Har-Ber not being able to maintain possession either. Nelson sending the ball upfield. Jose Vega maintaining possession there, cutting, and it's going to rebound off of him to go out of bounds. Great play there from Har-Ber, doing some wall passes, trying to keep composed there, not getting too excited, and forcing an attack on goal. We are just at 5 minutes left in this game. 5 minutes is the difference. Really, that's all that's left that these players have to accommodate for. Irving Sotero gets back on the field. Ruben Ayala coming off, number 6. Irving Sotero back on the field. Springdale now has a throw in. And Har-Ber really has to be careful about trying to send all these balls out of bounds, because Springdale is going to try to maximize anything that they can, especially on these throw-ins. And so it would benefit Har-Ber more to actually maintain possession of the ball.
Definitely, and even if they were just kicking the ball in the back between their defenders, that would just be some way to keep that ball in their possession.
Har-Ber on the attack. Nelson being very quick to get a ball on that. A foul on Danny Maldonado. Referee making it very clear to number 10 on Har-Ber that there will be no more of that aggression will be tolerated, specifically from him also. Danny Maldonado just getting his ankle clipped while running. Again, Har-Ber has to be really careful about doing that, especially with such a short time constraint. They really have to minimize time that Springdale has the possession of the ball.
Definitely, as we approach, about 2 to 3 minutes here, we're just gonna have to play smart and not give away those fouls.
Springdale, I know playing with Beeler that in these last 3 minutes, your focus is really just to maintain possession, not to worry so much about scoring anymore, but just to maintain possession and run the timeout.
Mm-hmm. It's really just about
Jose Vega here with the possible attack, looking at a defender coming in. Another throw-in for Springdale.
It's really just about making sure that the other team isn't going to score. We don't have to score again because we are ahead, but we just want to make sure that the other team is not going to score.
Now it's really a race against the clock for both teams at this point. Springdale just trying to get it out of there, taking the lead that they have and running with it, and Har-Ber trying to get one up, which would put them into penalties.
We're going to have a substitution for Har-Ber.
In the last 2 minutes, the Har-Ber coach must really want this player to be fairly offensive. We have the assistant referee waving the flag, but play has moved on. Renee looking for that long ball to Danny Maldonado on that left side. Danny Maldonado not being able to get a touch, but we do have a throw in for Springdale. Jose Vega here cutting and taking that defender nicely, but not being able to get past him. Har-Ber with that long punt. Gilberto Razo not letting that player turn. Joel Guzman. Irving Sotero just holding that ball on that line as much as they can. This could be dangerous here. Har-Ber with that long ball. Guardado. And we have Abraham Cordero picking up the ball nicely within his box.
And he's definitely going to take his time with getting this ball out of his box.
Absolutely, and I don't blame him. With just little over a minute left, that could be the difference between taking this third win in your season versus having Har-Ber tie it and then possibly losing in penalties. So that's really important that these players recognize the time. Under a minute left. Har-Ber on the attack here. Gilberto Razo coming all the way back from center back to try to clear that ball upfield. Gilberto not being able to stop himself, not stopping short in his tracks. He will be receiving a yellow card. Har-Ber's goalkeeper will be coming out of his box to come all the way up and help in this offensive play.
Which could be good for Har-Ber, but it could also be very, very dangerous as well, especially if Springdale gets the ball.
So we have every single Har-Ber player pushing up to try to get this ball. This could be very dangerous with just 40 seconds left on the clock. Har-Ber has this free kick. It's all going to come down to this. It's very possible it could be the last attack that Har-Ber has. Springdale not letting Har-Ber get possession of that ball. Irving Sotero pushing very nicely, not allowing Har-Ber to get that ball comfortably. 20 seconds left. Har-Ber still in the offensive half.
Har-Ber's goalkeeper still staying up pretty far.
Jose Vega there with two players. No keeper in the box. We have Rene sending it. We have a goalkeeper just barely getting his touch on that. 10 seconds left on the clock now. Springdale with the throw in.
That could have been deadly for the Har-Ber team.
And that will be it, ladies and gentlemen. Springdale taking the win against Har-Ber 2-1. Very, very intense last 5 minutes of the game. Both teams battling it out. Springdale trying to keep Har-Ber from scoring, and Har-Ber continuously pushing to try to get that goal.
Yes, that was a wonderful game. It was very intense, and it was great to see this. And it's also great to see the sportsmanship out there right now. They're hugging it and talking to each other and telling each other good game.
Y con eso terminamos este partido con Springdale ganando 2-1 a Har-Ber. Se termina este partido. Springdale se va con 3 ganes en esta temporada y en esta liga. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night, and we hope to see you next time.